What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Art of War. We have a super exciting video for you today, as John and I are going to be live discussing the balanced Dataslate changes in terms of who are the biggest winners, the losers, everybody in between. So we're going to be ranking all the different factions here. Yes, our normal tier list was moved to Thursday, so don't worry. That one's still in progress. It's being edited. But this one, because Games Workshop just dropped a balanced Dataslate out of the blue from the clouds, we wanted to switch things around a little bit and do the live stream today and go ahead and discuss those changes. Also, John and I didn't get to put our thoughts out there last week, and we play some very different factions from Nick and Michael, so you'll also get those opinions in this video.
Indeed, we're very, very excited for this one. Happy to be doing this one with you, Richard. But there's a lot of changes. You know, that early balanced data slate dropping on a Friday,
Friday night,
throwing everything in a tailspin. Certainly is gonna shake up the meta. Absolutely.
So if you are joining us, please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps us grow. In addition, leave a comment below letting us know what you think of the new data slate, what you think of our rankings here, whether you feel your faction's a big winner, a loser, somewhere in between. Definitely let us know. And if you are joining us and do super chat here, we will get to all the super chats at the end after we kind of do the main section of the video, but we will recognize them, we will talk about them, and we definitely appreciate them. And if you want to see more content from us, check out the War Room at thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial, and you get access to content for every single faction. We're going to have the State of the Factions coming out for the new meta very soon for all the different main armies that changed. And also, we have a bunch of new battle reports coming out this week and obviously in the coming weeks that are going to work through all these changes and see how the armies are going to shift based on them. So best time to join right now. Join our international community and get in that Discord. We've got faction experts in every single channel, and it's a great place to hang out, you know, talk with like-minded people, and also kind of figure out where your army is going to lie.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good stuff in the Discord right now. We are popping off right now. A lot of my faction channels right now are just I'm getting tagged every hour about, you know, Emperor's Children and Space Marines, and there's
the Omnissiah is awakened, John.
I know. You're excited.
All right. So without further ado, let's transition over here into the list itself and kind of break down our rankings. So starting off with major winner, this one is pretty self-explanatory. This is going to be a faction that got several very impactful changes, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are like an S-tier army or they're going to dominate the meta, but they got changes enough that they are looking really pretty in the meta, and they're going to be feeling good about these changes because they were very impactful. Solid buffs is, as you can imagine, it's solid buffs to maybe some different data sheets, points decreases for the army. Maybe there's some detachment rules that were changed that help out a different play style. These are going to be good buffs. They might not necessarily kind of, you know, shift the army all the way up towards the top of the meta, but it's a good changes for the army overall, and, you know, might not be significant impact, but a good impact. Rising contender from the meta shift. So oftentimes what happens is a lot of armies towards the middle band, which don't receive too many direct changes, they might still become one of the best armies in the game because the meta shifts around them. Maybe a big army that was really terrible, difficult to deal with, all of a sudden gets some significant nerfs and is no longer part of the meta. All right, now that counter army is no longer up there and not as prevalent, not as popular in the tournament scene.
Exactly. That's honestly the one I'm always most excited for, because that's the hardest to predict, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will shift over time as the meta shifts, of course.
Absolutely.
Stable is an army that really is kind of just sitting there, didn't change too much. There's a couple new codexes that recently came out, didn't receive any direct changes, and they might end up fitting in here where, yeah, they're kind of in a good place. They're feeling happy, or they just didn't receive any changes, and we don't really know where they're going to lie just yet. Nerfed is some sort of change here, or several changes are direct nerfs to the faction in ways that might either shift which playstyle becomes dominant, or ultimately might drop them down in the rankings over time.
And then final one.
Significant drop in power. Well, if you received significant nerfs to your army, and it is there's not too many ways to shift away from that. You know, that might be the main playstyle got nerfed, or the main units that you pretty much use in multiple playstyles got nerfed. That'll probably fit in here.
Yeah. So got 6 categories to rank everyone in.
We're going to be going through every faction here and kind of giving our thoughts on where they're placed and should be very interesting. So definitely let us know if you agree, disagree with us. We're going to start off in the old alphabetical order so you can follow along in your app if you want to. Adeptus Sororatis is first. These faithful girls got a few changes.
Yeah, a couple of points decreases. And they weren't crazy, but I believe Celestine got cheaper notably. That was the one that stood out to me the most. I think there's a couple other things that went down.
Good.
Yeah, just like a couple 10-point decreases on things that weren't being taken. Nothing crazy. And then Retributors got a change.
the unit you don't really see too often.
Yeah, so they reroll 1s to hit and wound, and then they're +1 to hit and wound if you have previously killed a Sisters unit.
Yep, if the target that they're going after has destroyed some sort of Sisters unit.
I mean, at a certain point.
I mean, how many buffs can you put on an anti-tank platform?
Yeah, like how many buffs can you put on a multi-melta before it's really good? That's got to be enough. I mean, the rerolls alone.
Yeah, and there's several stratagems in Bringers, especially that synergize well with them as well. So for me,
just getting +1 to strength on a strength 9 weapon is often massively impactful.
Yeah, 100%. So between +1 strength and then +1 to wound potentially, all of a sudden you're going to be doing quite a bit of damage. So for me, I think Sisters have generally been sitting in a pretty good place in the meta. They haven't been dominating events or going back to what they used to be, but they honestly have been slowly going up and up and up, and they got a lot of points decreases the last 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, the Grotmus detachment is still solid for them.
Yep.
But you've got multiple other options. Like genuinely, there's 3 detachments that I would say are like floor competitive level.
Yeah, you have the 30 Sacrosanct build, you've got the Bringers tank spam, and then you can play Hollowed Martyrs, stand back up characters, kind of a well-rounded balanced list. So they have 3 main archetypes, all of which have performed reasonably well. I honestly think these are pretty solid buffs for Sisters overall, but I could definitely see them fitting in Rising Contender from Metashift as well.
Yeah, I'm willing to say solid buffs. Honestly, I think that the total changes are going to add up. Yeah. I really think the Retributor buff is one of those where you go from 0 units to multiple units. This isn't just like, I guess I could take a Retributor squad instead of tank number 4, and it doesn't really matter which one I take. I don't think I think this is an actual, this is an actual damage shift. And it can allow you to get out of the normal archetypes because you have that burst of damage of, oh, you're in front of me and this turn has to be the one that ends you? Well, all right. I scattered a bunch of trash in front. You did kill something when you came out. Now I, +1 hit, +1 wound, real 1's hit, real 1's wound, and just zap.
And, the Retributors are also a great place to throw your Miracle Dice as well, if you're stacking them up. And then in addition, Castigators, stripping cover from the Immolators, this can all, slowly kill things. Yep. But all of it, Vault can only be in one place to just do absolute max damage. Yeah. Retributors opening up a second option to do potential significant damage to durable targets is very nice to have.
Yeah, because that's been one of Sisters' biggest weaknesses is doing solid damage without a massive commitment. Where, yeah, I mean, if you point an Immolator and a Castigator at a tank, then the second Castigator hurts really badly.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot of activations in one place.
Yeah, sometimes you need to go kill one thing with one thing. And you don't want to use Vol. And that's tricky.
That is tricky. So I think these are quite solid, and they will impact Sisters lists in a positive way.
Definitely think so.
Adeptus Custodes. So the previous update, they received some direct datasheet changes, especially to the bikes, as well as some points. In this one, they mostly got points kind of around the edges, some of their 10 Prosecutor and whatnot units, as well as Custodian Guard went down a bit. The Shield Captain as well went down 10 points. For me, these changes ultimately aren't really going to do that much for Custodes is how I feel about it. These aren't any key units that are changing in dramatic ways. They didn't get any points increases to the Blade Champion or Wardens, which thankful for that.
Custodian Guard. They're taking 2 squads now.
Yeah, you might take 2 squads.
You would get 30 points back.
I just don't see how that's super impactful.
That just promotes your agent squad, your agent priest to an agent squad. That's what that does. It's
changes the outskirts of a list, but ultimately the core is almost always going to be very similar than before. I don't see mass guard spam becoming, with a 10-point decrease here or there.
No, you're still probably 3 units of Wardens. Decide if you would like to supplement that with Caladius or with MSU Aloris. and an extra guard squad, and that's still the list.
Yeah, depending on which detachment you go for, and then like you'll probably have your one custodian guard squad with Draxus. Maybe you go for like Valyrian and another guard squad now instead of putting him in the Wardens. Ultimately, I don't really feel like this changes very much for Custodes, so I would probably put them in stable, personally.
Happy to not get nerfed, but not anything else.
They're still kind of heavily reliant on the Caladius tank in this type of meta as well.
Yeah, as long as it's vehicle heavy, you kind of need those Caladius around.
All right, Adeptus Mechanicus. Ooh. So this is a faction I love very much, and it finally received some quite significant buffs, not only to more profiles, so a lot of the profiles, so Iron Striders, for instance, were able to regain Twin Linked. It's something they had lost, but they gained an extra shot. Now they keep the extra shot, they gain the Twin Linked back, and they also only went up 5 points per model, which is completely fine for them. So now they are a reliable anti-tank piece. You know, they're AP3 on the las cannons. Because they have Twin Linked, you could think about running the auto cannons now if you stack the AP up. So good anti-tank option for AdMech. They also had the Onager Doomcrawler change one of its profiles, the Eradication Beamer, which was literally never taken ever, but its 18-inch range profile went to Strength 10, and it also gained an additional D3 shots on both profiles. So now it's 3D3 shots blast. It went from sustained D3 to sustained 1.
But more shots.
Strength 10, D3, or AP3, and then flat 3. AdMech have been lacking a type of tool that's been prevalent in the modern meta, which is something like a Blowtrone or a Forge Fiend that can just look at an elite infantry body and say, you know what? No, you're dead. Just get out of here.
Kill several,
Yeah, kill several of those bodies. And
3D3 shots with sustained. Very solid. What's the damage on it? Is it 3?
Flat 3.
There you go.
AP3 as well, which is something that's relatively rare for
Only 18 inches means it's probably not going to be too broken.
No, it's kind of like, all right, my opponent has committed these key units to the objectives. Now I'll respond with this type of resource. So it didn't go down in points or anything. I'm not sure if this will actually make the competitive AdMech list because there are other options. I think the Iron Striders are kind of the stars of the show here. But it does mean that I can actually consider thinking about this. And I've run Onagers before. I ran them at Worlds. I ran the 2 twin heavy phosphor guys.
You killed like a Lehman Russ with one of those.
I killed the Lion with one of them.
Well, okay.
Not
against me.
Not against you, but John, if you spent Armor Contempt somewhere else, it was happening.
I assure you I could have spent Armor Contempt there and still lost the line.
That's true.
You've seen my line on the table.
Seen it. So those are very impactful. The combat, so Ruststalkers gained a 2 damage profile on the weapon that was never taken, the Razor version. And then the Infiltrators gained AP1 on their taser goads, the extra attack on the power weapon as well. So nice combat buffs here. But the real big star of the show for me is Belisarius Call, who has been one of the worst epic heroes in the game. He finally became cheap enough to just be solid and be a reroll 1 Zora. Now he is legitimately very strong in basically every detachment because he adds something significant. So he does a lot more damage in shooting, but his real thing is he can give out +1 OC as an aura now, which is incredibly potent on a board control army like AdMech. In addition to that, he can give out stealth. So if you're not playing Hunter Cohort, you can still create a horde of stealth bodies.
Is it in addition or instead of?
Instead of. This was the pick 3.
The pick 3. Cool.
So instead of, he used to give cover in an aura.
Okay.
Well, stealth in the index, then it changed to cover, which is useless, and now it's back to stealth
All right,
for Shroud Psalm. And then the other one is going to be effectively Oath of Moment, which he picks a target, and then you get full rerolls against it for your army. So in many ways, this helps AdMech attack staging points with our combat units, and it also means that you could be in Conquer and still have a really efficient shooting phase against a particular target. So I think he's incredible. He did go up 40 points, but worth it. We're taking it. Yeah, and for me, AdMech are a major winner
here. Yeah, I think I'd completely agree. One of the most improved factions. Did Call go up in points with these changes?
40 points.
Up 40?
Yep. So he was 135. He was 175. He's basically back to where he was originally.
He just now does something.
But he now does several things, and you have the flexibility to choose. And he also does a lot of damage. His atomizer is D6 damage, is strength 14, AP 4, 3 shots always, and then it's melt a 3. So he can just look at a tank and be like, nope, you're dead.
Yeah, at close range. And the 3 auras he can choose from, it sounds like there's a clear winner. Kind of. This sounds like Gulliman, where like you have the preference, but all of them have value.
All of them have value, 100%.
All of them have some value, and so that's going to be really important because you get to choose your command phase. You get to know if the OC is going to matter or not and make your decision immediately. Like, would I like reroll the hits or would I like 5 points?
Yep. So I think he really is going to change the army in every different detachment. I think Halo Screed loves him, Hunter Cohort loves him, Rad Zone. Doesn't really matter what you've been playing. He's going to fit in there really nicely and open up a lot of options for you.
So he's an auto take for you?
I think he's straight up auto take, 100%. I was already running him previously, and now he's 1,000 times. Plus 1 OC as an aura is magic.
Magic. Okay.
All right, next up we have Aeldari, and John and I have been hyping up Aeldari. If you watched a couple video live streams ago, we were like, Aeldari is one of the best armies in the game. They're crushing knights. They're 20-0ing knights. They're ripping up a lot of armies in the game. They had a couple difficult matchups like GSC, but not too many of them. And we expected, alongside some of the other armies that got nerfed, for them to see some points increases to key units. And they received points increases to the 5-man, Void Scarred?
Yeah, Corsair Void Scarred. Went up 5 points.
Which is like a cheap OC2 mission play unit. That's perfectly fine. And then the 10 model Hawk units, which Liam VSL was predominantly using in Aspect Host, went up 20 points. But not any of the 5-mans, Lycas, Fuegan, the Dragons, no rules changes. So Eldar
They got off light.
They got off very light on their good units, and then their units that are kind of a tier or two below that also receive some points decreases. So if you're not trying to play the meta Eldari and wanting to play stuff like Dire Avengers and Azurman or Avatar or Wraithblades, Shining Spears, that stuff went down a bit. And I think Eldari are feeling really good about this update.
Yeah, it's always one of those things where you're like, all right, the balanced data slate is hit. The very best armies got nerfed. Now, some of those nerfs came a little bit early, so things like the Death Guard nerfs, it turns out, were just forwarded. So I wouldn't say that they didn't get nerfed, even though they didn't this time. But you look at Eldar and you're like, this is probably the best army that didn't get nerfed. Right? Like, the line always stops somewhere. If it had been Eldari, we'd be looking and saying, maybe Sisters is the best army that didn't get nerfed, right? The line stops somewhere. But in this case, the bar stopped at Eldar.
Yep.
And they were the best army that did not get any nerfs, because plus 5 points on a list is just insignificant, especially because Eldar has other alternative cheap units.
Yeah.
If this was a major breakpoint that your Void Scars went up 5 points, you just replace like one of them with a Ranger unit. And you say, all right, I have a different type of cheap, trash piece.
It's funny, when you look at their roster, almost everything is it's a 55, 65 point unit. 7, you can just go straight up the line.
The exact opposite of my Emperor's Children army right now. Dude, I cannot cut 5 points. I don't know what to do.
Sorry, John.
It's 2005 and I can't fix this problem. And Nick's like, it's 2005. I can fix this in 17 different ways. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Ow.
Now, one thing that I didn't mention for AdMech that might even be a bigger buff for them and is a huge buff for Eldar, or is a nerf for Aeldari, is the loss of challenger cards.
Yes.
For an army that wants to get aggressive and deny primary like an AdMech, the loss of challenger cards is a huge deal, a huge positive. For Aeldari, an army that doesn't necessarily want to have to play the primary game in the early part, they want to deny points. They don't necessarily going to hold their points, but they're going to try and win that late game. They benefited a lot from challenger cards because your opponent would get aggressive into you, they deny points, you'd eventually kill them, and then the final 2 turns between all the challengers you've locked up and your primary, you were in a good spot overall. That doesn't exist anymore. That safety net is gone. I think that's a genuine nerf to Aeldari and several of the armies out here.
Yeah, it's gonna impact more people, but I completely agree. And I think Eldar still has a fairly good matchup into a lot of the armies that are going to be good right now. But some of the new ones, some of the new kids on the block, I look at Eldar versus them and I just ask, how is this gonna go? And I'm not sure yet on all of them, but like, I don't want to spoil too much of who we're putting in the major winner category, but a couple of the armies that I think have improved, or some of the archetypes that I think have improved, are going to be challenging for Eldar. So I think Eldar, everything that currently exists that was here a couple months ago, Eldar's better into all of that or is neutral. It's better and neutral into everything that was good and is good, but a couple of these new kids, I'm like, But then also, 2 of the biggest predators, T-Suns, Host of Ascension, Genestealer Cult.
Yep.
Well, I don't want to spoil where they're going, but they're not going in solid buffs. So I'm like, wow, okay.
It's a weird place because like some of the main predators went down. Some of the things that they preyed on also went down. Challenger cards lost, but then they didn't receive any points changes. Like, I think
they even got some points buffs.
I think they have to fit in Rising Contender, right?
I think so. I think they're improving less than it looks like. And to be clear, this was an army that I think was very good and is net getting slightly better, but I don't think it's I think it's very easy day one to be like, wow, everything got nerfed except for Eldar. And they were already one of the best. Now we're all dead. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I just think it's, wow, a really good army is going to be in a little bit more favorable of a position than before, but not by as much as I probably would have said on day one, because it's like, the challenger cards. I don't actually know if Eldar is going to enjoy some of the changes like AdMech.
I don't think they will.
I don't think Eldar is going to enjoy like AdMech being back in the game. They're going to be like, this is terrible. Like
especially +1 OC AdMech.
Yeah, all the vehicles are far away. All the infantry at close range are at close range. You can loan up one unit for the Reaper package.
Have 30 fire dragons. I don't care.
Yeah, it's like if fire dragons are just not particularly efficient into stealthy, cheap rats with an invuln.
Yeah, with 5 of them.
I don't know, man. So that and challenger cards, I could see Eldar not rising as much as it would have looked.
Yeah, but I think net
still very
net
good
positive,
army.
Not
positive.
direct buffs, and not a major winner as far as we can see, which doesn't mean that Eldar isn't one of the best armies in the game.
Yeah,
that's not what this tier list is about. This is more placing them based on what the changes are. We're going to be doing that full faction tier list in the coming weeks.
Okay, up next,
Astra Militarum.
Man, Astra Militarum really didn't change at all. The Dorn Commander went up 10 points, and the Dorn went up 10 points, which is...
It's funny that they did it now.
Yeah,
they had the whole...
Honestly, they should have done this 3 months ago, and they probably didn't need to do it now.
Yeah.
As it is, my list went up 20 points. A smattering of units that are on the borderline of being useful, like Gaunt's Ghost, Krieg Engineers, went down 10 points. It is not particularly difficult in Guard due to the array of options we have at the low-cost price point for me to find those 20 points. Mm-hmm. There's the very simple, I'll turn a Chimera into a Taurox. I now have a different transport carrying my Kaiserkin. I would have preferred a Chimera, but it's not really a sticking point. It's very easy for Guard to adjust 30 points in any direction.
Yeah, kind of like Eldar.
Like what I have done is I've traded some of my cheap trash units for Krieg Engineers. Those went down 10 points. And now my list has 2 Krieg Engineers and 2 Dorn Commanders, which is plus 20, minus 20. And I'm like, cool. This was 2,000 a week ago, and it's 2,000 now. I have changed one of my trash pieces. Okay.
Sweet.
It's completely fine. It's completely fine. It's very stable. I don't think that Guard was an army that strictly benefited from having challenger cards. Sometimes I like to use my cheap infantry to aggressively dink people's primary and score points, and then they can use challenger cards on me. Sometimes people run at me because I'm the shooting army, and they run onto my objectives, and I use challenger cards. It's a net neutral. Sometimes I liked them, sometimes I didn't when I was playing Guard. Mm-hmm. I went up 20 points, went down 20 points. This is as flat of as an army can be. Right? Astra Militarum was kind of parked in 48% win rate land with some good event results. They didn't need crazy buffs, and they sure didn't get them.
Do you think any of the top armies coming down help Guard in important ways, or they're kind of most of their matchups are relatively even? Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I don't think anything has changed.
Stable Guard, baby.
Nothing. I don't know, man. The meta's gonna break before Guard do. It is just the same army. So there's several people that got better. None of them are bad matchups for Guard. AdMech is traditionally difficult for Guard, but it is not an insurmountable one by any stretch. And you know what? Eldar is annoying for Guard, and there's probably not going to be less Eldar in the game, but I don't know. Guard
have tools.
Yeah, Guard has tools. They're perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
All right, well, next up, we have the Black Templars. Recently received a codex. It has so far started to kind of hit the meta and being played at events. Broadly doing well. There's a Gladius version. I've seen a little bit of Ironstorm here and there, some Stormlance as well. But overall, we've kind of seen it fit around what Jack's been doing, which is some Sword Brethren with some beater characters that are going out, smashing people with crit 5s and full rerolls to hit. With their lethals, and then potentially reactive moving or getting back in transports, and just being generally very annoying to deal with some repulsor executioners providing that consistent long-range firepower. That archetype, very, very strong.
Yep.
And it hasn't seen enough play for us to really, it didn't receive any direct changes here in the balanced Dataslate because it's a brand new codex. There's no points changes, no rules changes.
Don't want to do it?
Yep. It's going to, in my opinion... It's stable, but I think there is a reason to potentially put it in Rising Contender from Meta Shift because if some of the bigger, hard to deal with armies get nerfed, like something like a GSC or a T-Suns, where your lack of durability really shows. Maybe they could fit up there. But certainly the army is stable at the moment. And we could decide towards the end if we want to drag them up a little bit, kind of seeing the full context.
I'm more inclined to say stable. I don't think that they have a particularly good matchup into the things that are rising. I don't think that they have a particularly bad one either. But when I think of who I want to put in major winners, I don't think of those as like, oh yeah, and Templars slam dunk those army. Like to me, like rising contenders for meta shift is, and like I don't think challenger cards did much here.
No, it was a relatively even mission playing army.
For me, like what differentiates like major winner or like rising contender from stable is that either you had a bad matchup into the significant drops in powers, or you have a good matchup into the buffs and winners, or the challenger card change was significant for you. Like those are the three things that I think of.
Okay,
as
fair
like
enough. Yeah.
That's what takes you from stable to rising contender for meta shift, because they didn't get better off of rules like Sisters did. They just like are like, oh, this was a solid army that didn't change, and the game has pivoted a little around you. So I'm inclined to say more stable.
Okay. Next up, we have Blood Angels, who basically repeatedly always get some sort of changes. They're one of those factions that are very well loved, and this time around, they got a very nice change to Sanguinary Guard. Now, of course, it did come with some points increases, but honestly, where Sanguinary Guard went down the last time was a little crazy. So they gain Weapon Skill 2+, which means that Blood Angels are even less Oath reliant than previously for their melee units rather than their shooting units. So
Also, the spear change.
the spear change
Huge,
as
in
well.
my opinion.
Okay, yeah, explain that.
So the Sanguinary Guard, the spear gained an attack as well as the weapon skill. So it's now the same number of attacks as the Incarminate Blade, right? And it's a Incarminate Spear and Incarminate Blade. So you can now, basically, you are 4 attacks of Strength 6, Damage 2, Weapon Skill 2, and you're choosing between AP 3 or AP 2 Lance.
Yep.
I'm of the opinion that you take AP 2 Lance. And you just, like, save CP on other things. I think AP 2 Melee is perfectly acceptable. Maybe you take, like, maybe Dante's unit takes swords.
Yeah, you could have 1 sword, 2 lance units.
Yeah, and just say, yeah, well, you know, Dante is an absolute bad man, and so I want him to have lance, even if it's, like, so I'm going to spend the strat anyways. And so, screw it, I'll give them swords, and this is, like, the hit package of die now.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I feel like if you just traded, like, AP2 versus 3 for lance, I would just want lance.
Yeah.
Because CP aren't free.
As somebody who loves the aesthetic of the lance on the model, I was really sad to be forced to put swords on everybody. And
I think it's lance time.
Yeah, now I can bust out those lances. So very excited for that as a Blood Angels player. And honestly, I think Blood Angels are in the solid buff category. Like these, I think...
You think that change is...
Yeah, I think those...
Like, Blade Guard Veterans and Jump Pack Intercessors both got more expensive.
I don't think so. I'm thinking more the Angelic Inheritors. I'm on the Jack train. I think his build is stronger than Liberators, personally.
I'm
I think Angelic certainly is in the solid buff category. If you think Liberators is more kind of side grady, then we could kind of balance the two of those.
I'm down to hear it because we could also look at
Weapon Skill 2 reroll hits of 1 and wounds of 1, and then you just use Oath for the shooting units is really, really good.
That is incredibly reliable.
Yep, because you're going to have 3-man Sandguard units, period. Maybe a 6-man.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And then, the Angelic Inheritors one definitely gets a lot better there. And also, realistically, I think that Blood Angels had a not fun T-Suns matchup.
No.
I don't know
GSC
how they
was also not that
did
fun.
with GSC. I think that one was just like everyone was nervous the whole time because like if they touch you,
depends on how many infiltrators you brought.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. I'll give you that one.
Okay. Yeah.
You're a Blood Angel player. I do every other Space Marine.
Yeah, I really like that change. I think that's very impactful.
Okay.
And also, the army could kind of struggle against minuses to hit in combat if you weren't going into the Oath target, so it was hard to commit multiple units at the same time.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's a genuinely a solid buff for them.
Good to know.
Chaos Demons, on the other hand, they got some points decreases to a handful of units, mostly Slanesh units, so Fiends, the Keeper of Secrets, which...
went down 10.
Didn't they go down 20?
I don't care.
Yeah, I think they went down 20. And then Legion of Excess also received where they used to reroll hits and wounds, which is awesome in Legion of Excess. That got nerfed very early on in the first update in the year. And then it went down to reroll ones to hit, ones to wound. Now it's back to reroll hits and then reroll ones to wound, which is a decent damage increase. However, the big problem with Legion of Excess was their rules were nerfed, their data sheets were nerfed, and their points were nerfed. This is removing one of those things. So points come down a little bit, but unfortunately the data sheets really did get kind of riggedy wrecked by Games Workshop. They got the patented, honestly, probably the most significant nerf that any faction received at that point for Legion of Excess.
It was rough.
Really devastating changes.
I don't think I've ever seen a build get one tapped like that.
Just completely nuked out of existence. So it is better than it was before, but I don't think it's enough to really shift what demons are going to be doing. I think they're still in the indexed detachment, big demon spam, or they're playing the Shadow Legion. Yeah. Those builds haven't changed that much.
And I don't think that any of the buffs get those units into them. Like, I don't think you take Fiends or you take a Keeper in Demonic Incursion.
I think the other thing that is probably a downside for demons that we can't understate is the fact that Aeldari, in particular Fire Dragons, did not get any sort of nerf. Fire Dragon, the army with Fire and Fade, just wrecks big demons.
I also bluntly think that several of the major winners are going to be problematic for demons.
Yeah, I think so.
And so, like, can we have, like, Falling Contender from that?
Falling Contender?
Like, demons didn't get nerfed. They received 2 points changes, which were completely irrelevant, in my opinion. I just don't think either unit sees the table.
Honestly, we can just change the text right now.
I mean...
for the hilarity. Falling Contender. I don't know if they were a contender, but Falling Faction.
Yeah, oh, God. Just...
It's one of those cases where you technically got buffs, but it actually, the meta around you is hostile, and it just feels worse overall. The changes weren't impactful.
I have no belief in demons. I have zero faith. Like, I've seen them do well, but just like every time I play against
stats
them,
it's the meta is like, I don't carry your stats, you're dead.
Yeah, like, the game is hostile to the Fort Feel No Pain Guo, and I acknowledge that, like, the entire tournament hall is not hostile to the Fort Feel No Pain Guo, but, like, there's just a point where that guy stops mattering. Usually the second opponent's like, oh, I do have OC. Oh, I do have a move block. Oh, I actually just have guns.
I have damage. I mean, I watched the games you went to the Canada US Open, and you were just like, here we go, cranking up the EC machine again. Just a bunch of demons standing in front.
My low damage army just punching out Guos because it just does that. I mean,
if you put enough damage on something, it's going down.
Yeah,
nothing is too durable.
No.
So sorry, demons. Chaos Knights. Now, the changes for Death Guard, Chaos Knights, and kind of Imperial Knights, but kind of not, were brought up to August. So we saw a lot of the changes to Chaos Knights specifically then, and we've actually gotten a couple weeks of seeing those changes. But a couple things happened.
We did get rules changes. It's very interesting because, like, of the big 3, all of them got nerfed a month ago. Points only. Death Guard were done there. Imperial Knights got a Codex. Chaos Knights are the only one of the 3 that got double tapped. And I would have argued quite passionately that they were the worst of the 3.
Death Guard were the best.
Death Guard were the best.
Doesn't even...
The fact that they both... Like, cause, like, I feel like the points changes they both got were fine. Honestly, the rules change for Chaos Knights aren't a big deal. I'm mad that it happened on principle, but it's not because I think Death Guard should have gotten.
This is one for the Lords of Dread where the sticky objective strat is only their command phase?
Only in the Chaos Knight player's command phase can you use the Lord of Dread sticky objective stratagem, and then also the defensive ability for Infernal Lance is now either a Feel No Pain or an Invulnerable Save, not both. That change only matters in combat because you never took the invuln in shooting because you always have a 5-up invuln. And so it's totally fine. Like, it's not a big deal, but I don't know. Like, I think Chaos Knights are still good. I don't think they're crazy. I think that Lord of Dread is no longer a viable detachment. So it just,
do you think it's that bad? Because they have the fight first combat knight. They have the -1 damage.
It's not that it's like not a viable detachment. It's that it's a clearly tiered detachment. Infernal Lance is the best.
Yeah.
Lords of Dread is worse.
Because the Lords of Dread detachment rule is literally that stratagem, right? You get to make it free.
Yep. And so now, and now you have to walk onto the objective and survive there with a character knight and then pact. And that means that you're going to do it on your home field once, and then you're going to walk onto the midfield objective and say, please kill me before I use this stratagem. And you are not taking the Tough Knights, which is Infernal Lance, for that strategy. And if my game plan is to walk on an objective, tank my opponent's turn, and then hold the objective, I don't then need to stick it with a big knight, because that wasn't the plan. So I, especially when now this is the same timing as the Infernal Knight sticky and objective stratagem. So both detachments have sticky and objective stratagem. One of them is 0 CP, one of them is 1 CP. One of them gets a ton of other rules. Infernal Lance is just the best detachment, Chaos Knights. Lords of Dread is not. And they're so comparable that there isn't a comparison.
If you're going to go for big knights, you go for the
I honestly, and like you can do Hound Pack Lance. I think Hound Pack Lance is a little slept on right now. But I don't know, my second best attachment is now my third best attachment. Whoop-de-doo.
You think they're a falling faction?
No.
Or stable?
Stable. It's not a big deal. I'm slightly more vulnerable in combat than before. I was already not trying to get the
still get triple the spoiler.
Yeah, and the reality is that you get to choose in the moment if you're going to do the Invul or the Feel No Pain. Most of the time you're getting hit in combat, it's AP2 anyways. So when you see the AP3, AP4, pop the Invul. Yep. Or you pop Armor of Contempt and the Feel No Pain. And then you still get the 5-ups and the Sigil Feel No Pain. If it really matters, maybe you get taxed and extra CP. It's a very mild nerf. I'm not mad about Challenger cards going away.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, like
creating big primary difference early.
And also, like, people would take Bring It Down, Assassinate, and it'd be 2 turns of, that's crazy. I have 0 secondaries, and you have scored something. I'm going to draw 2 Challenger cards, then I'm going to go get 35 secondary points. Oh, now that you have 1 model left, now you're the Challenger. It's like, No, I do not.
That's fair. That might entirely outweigh the rules changes, period.
Honestly, it's about the same. I think Chaos Knights are still a perfectly viable faction that will occasionally feel bad on the tabletop, but as a broader meta sense is not oppressive at all.
Okay. Chaos Space Marines. Usually an army that gets a decent amount of changes in the summer. They got several datasheet changes to various units. They have multiple viable detachments. They have Creations of Bile with their Possessed and their Chosen and the various characters. They also have the Renegade Raiders style with some Noise Marines, a good amount of combat units as well. They have Veterans of the Long War, still active, still very good. They have multiple different ways to kind of, play out a game. They still have pack bound if you want to go shooting heavy.
Any changes? Can you?
I believe they got maybe a couple little decreases.
I feel like they got like points decreases on 2 things that like are completely irrelevant all the way to the bottom. It's the last one.
Let's see. CS.
Like I'm like struggling to think of a single Chaos Space Marine change right now. I feel like it's like something weird, like a Terminator.
The Venom Crawler went down 10. Nick loves those. Abaddon went down 10.
Yeah.
The Land Raider for across the game went down 20, and the Dark Commune went up 10.
Yeah.
So like slight nerf to Chaos Cult, which is still viable. And
still perfectly viable. I do actually think that the Venom Crawler is genuinely a good tank and at 110. But it's not like, oh my god, I have to put 3 in every detachment. It's just like, this is a good skirmish piece.
Yeah, and they're still, been enjoying the buff to the Lord Discordant from the previous update. Honestly, Chaos Space Marines have some of the most viable detachments and most viable playstyles out of most, the vast majority of armies. Like, who else has like 4 or 5 different playstyles?
No, it's just CSM. I think they're very stable. Not mad if I'm a CSM player. They didn't really get better. They were in a perfectly serviceable place before.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that like slowly brought them down over the summer was just the fact that all the Chaos Cult Legions started getting books. So there was a lot more competition for Chaos Marine playstyles.
Yeah, and also like every Chaos Space Marine player does play at least 1 Legion.
Yeah.
Every single one.
So you get excited. Oh, Emperor's Children, I'm going to go play that for now. No, World Eaters, I'm going to go get an aggressive style. So there are other ways to play those, but CSM still just are a good army.
Mm-hmm. Up next is Dark Angels.
Dark Angels. Once again, Games Workshop trying to tweak the Lion a bit, as well as some other data sheets this time.
Doing it. So we got 1 rules change, 1 points change to Dark Angels. The rules change is the Lion gets to pick 2 abilities instead of 1. This is genuinely nice because I think the Lion was just a stay-at-home dad. I'm sorry. What's that? Work from home. He's working from home, and he's just not in the office today. The This is good. I think that the Lion has finally crossed the line from I would play him as only a novelty to I genuinely could put him in a list and not feel like I'm wasting my time. I don't think he has crossed the line into the vaunted category of I actively want this guy in a list. But we are now at the point where I think I will play with him because I hate to say this out loud. If I'm ever playing Dark Angels, I am doing it to be different from Space Marines. And so I have to take the things. It's a very awkward case of I don't actually think you want the Lion in a Dark Angels list. I actually don't think you want him. But as soon as I'm playing Dark Angels without the Lion, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I not +1 wound against my oath target? Get out of here, I'm going to play Space Marines. And so it's like, he's like an almost viable thing that is part of the reason you wouldn't play Codex Space Marines, and therefore you do take him, because if you're not taking him, you should just go to play Ultramarines.
Yeah. Dark Angels are still a victim of that change to Oath, which is and Gilliman, that's such an incredibly powerful thing. Yeah,
and Dark Angels still lack that unique thing. Now, the Dark Shroud is a genuinely good change. Minus 15 points here. 100 points is not expensive for what this is anymore.
It's a stealth aura, right?
It's a 6-inch aura of stealth and cover. And it benefits like everything, so it benefits vehicles. It's not just Ravenwing. It's a good piece. It's a large hole. It can make your Deathwing Knights tougher. Genuinely, at 100 points, I feel like I should try to fit a Dark Shroud into my Dark Angel list at this point. As a matter of fact, I think I have one in my current Dark Angel Stormlance list. Plenty of incredibly viable options here.
How about the Landspeeder Vengeance?
Did it get cheaper?
No, it didn't get cheaper, but it got the +1 damage buff.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, right?
I genuinely missed that. If it got a damage buff, we're a whole other conversation.
I'm pretty sure the Vengeance got
I genuinely did not notice that this happened.
All right, here we go. So where is it?
Oh.
Right here. So the Plasma Storm Battery went to 2 damage base and then 3 damage on its hazardous profile.
All right, my apologies. We're back.
So, it didn't go down in points, but honestly, +1 damage for free
massive.
is
because the
pretty awesome.
I played the Landspeeder Vengeance. I ran 3 of them in Index Dark Angels. I don't know if you remember that.
It's 120. It's like pretty cheap.
Yeah, I was running 2 or 3, and I went to 2 normal, 3 hazardous, so it got the +1 damage back. I remember when it got nerfed, I was just like devastated. Okay, I too much on a Friday. I was already home from work and then this happened. I was like, what's going on here?
I genuinely think 36-inch range, it's twin links.
I'm so glad that you pointed this out so I didn't have to get tagged for the next month. Okay. That is another reason why you would play Dark Angels. That is an actually impactful thing.
So between all that, like you can have a really nice vehicle castle. You know, you could do the Stormland style. You could go for maybe an Ironstorm version. Gladius is still good.
Yeah, no, okay.
People want you to play Liberius Conclave for some reason.
Okay, no, the Vengeance change, that's enough. That's enough to say Rising or Solid.
You want to be Rising or Solid? Because I think these are solid buffs.
I'll go Solid. I don't know if it crosses the line of like, I would play this over Codex Space Marines.
Yeah.
Because, you
got Raven Guard, you got the Ultramarines.
Yeah, it gives me more tools that Dark Angels were lacking, but it doesn't give me any tools that Space Marines were lacking.
Yeah.
Where like I have good long range shooting in Space Marines. That is not a problem. Dark Angels didn't have it.
Yes. Now they can be more self-sufficient.
Yeah, and there's more reason to play Dark Angels. Okay, I completely missed that. That's actually quite good.
All right, next up we have the vaunted Death Guard. Received 0 changes as far as I am aware. No other rules changes.
None. This one I'm confident in.
No decreases, no increases. So that means, yes, they did receive some increases in August, but we have seen that they're still a very good army. They are probably not the absolute peak of the meta anymore, but they can still play the Virulent Vectorium style. They can go Champions of Contagion, or they can still try and play Mortarian's Hammer, although I haven't really seen that as much. The points increases to the Plague Burst Crawlers really did hurt that style significantly, obviously comboed with the Death Shroud increases.
I think they're just stable. This is a firmly above average army that didn't change at all. The things that got dropped, GSC and T-Suns, I think they probably didn't have a great GSC matchup, is my memory. Although I believe it was a little bit weird. It was dangerous. It wasn't just like a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I think their T-Suns matchup was like fine. There's a couple of things that are getting better that they're just going to be like, I don't really love that. Again, I think they're happier with the new style of GSC that we're going to see, and I think they're less happy about AdMech.
Yes,
so
for sure.
To me, it's stable.
They're very happy about the Silent King change. That was an extremely
yeah.
difficult matchup if
He ignored contagions.
because he ignored mods, and their army is mods the army. So that is definitely a big positive for them, although it wasn't like the most prevalent matchup out there.
Yep.
Overall, I think you're probably right, because like they are already a contender. They're not a rising contender.
No.
They're kind of stable.
Yeah, I think they're happy to be here.
Yeah, they're happy to not. No changes is good news for Death Guard. I think they were probably fearing some sort of rules change.
I was fearing for them. I really thought Death Shrouds were going to get hit. Something on the rule.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to because of the consistency. I still think they should just be 7-inch deep strike.
Yeah.
It's Nurgle's number.
Snurgle's number. It's
Just
like,
take an
slightly
inch,
less oppressive.
Take an inch off. Doesn't need to go to 9, but like, I don't know. I think it's okay.
All right, Death Watch. So Death Watch received
points.
Yep, several points decreases to a lot of their, basically all their important units, even their best kill team.
All of the kill teams, not the Terminators, but all of the kill teams went down. And genuinely, that means that like a Death Watch list probably added a unit, not another kill team, but a normal Death Watch list gains 80 to 100 points. And you're just like, oh, I can just take this and add an infiltrator or an incursor or a JPI-sized unit to my army.
For an elite army, that's huge.
Or I can take a cheap unit, like I can take one of my infiltrators, and I can turn it into a unit, like into a kill team. Very good.
Very impactful.
Very good. This is solid buffs. You know what else is solid, Richard?
It's more than solid, John.
You know who's a champion of the Imperium? A hero of mankind.
John McCardell, he's back, baby. I'm so
John
glad to have your
McCardell.
support again. You are a hero, and we love you. And hopefully you're really doing well, because I have not been on like every live stream, so I haven't seen you as much as I used to back then. But absolutely love you. Thank you so much for gifting those 50 subs to members. If you were gifted a sub, make sure that you go ahead and log into your Discord. Go to that user settings, connections, and click the YouTube icon so you can sync your accounts and get access to our Discord community. Thank you so much, John. Hope you're doing well. Please let us know how you are doing, what you're excited about, what you're playing in this meta. We'd love to hear from you. I assume you're excited for Orks because that is one of your big loves, but we'd love to hear from you.
John McCardell, you're a hero. Thank you so much, mate.
For all those people who have been super chatting, we will get to all those at the end. Don't worry, we have not forgotten about you. We appreciate you, and we will get to all those once we finish the list here. Yeah. So Death Watch, they're doing good. Lots of decreases to key units. That's when it's always impactful. Are you thinking they're a rising contender in this meta, or these are solid buffs?
I think these are solid buffs. Oh, Folger Piles is in the chat. This is how I found out. He wasn't commenting at all. Okay. This man's at work right now.
Yeah. His boss knows now.
His boss knows.
Because he's also in this stream.
Here you go. So, yeah, I mean, just solid buffs. I think solid buffs.
It was only a few months ago they won LVO. They've still been a very good army. They do have more competition now with the Raven Guard changes.
Yeah.
So there is a directly competitive playstyle to them, but they get unique units.
Yeah, I do think that this is not, again, it's the line, right? Of like, this is the same kind of buff that Archangels got. There's now more reason than before to play this faction. I don't know if there's an actual reason to do it over Space Marines. Always a hard place.
Thank you so much to Andreas to share as well for gifting 5 more Art of War memberships. We very much appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. John, we're up to Drukhari, which is waiting for a codex, and they received, I think, one specific change, which is that the 2-model Chronos unit went down 15 points. Ultimately, not impactful, in my opinion.
It's nice. It's a good buff. It doesn't actually matter that much.
It's good in real space raid, but not needed.
I think you just put him straight into stable, especially because, Reddit seems to think that the Drukhari Codex is coming relatively soon.
Yes.
So we'll have a lot more to say once we get there.
Absolutely. So stable for now. No direct changes in this slate, but potential is there. Emperor's Children, on the other hand, John.
Emperor's Children.
This is your hype faction.
This is my hype faction. Man, oh man, I am feeling conflict about these changes. So, very minor nerf in a 10-point bump to the Cacophonist, which is...
It's weird.
It's weirdly hard to play around that because I just can't turn an 85-point infantry into an 80-point infantry and keep going. It just isn't a thing I can do.
Spawn, baby.
That is so not the same. They're not infantry. They can't use the strats. And so you get a points change that didn't really matter. and then you get Flawless Blades getting +1 attack, which is super relevant, and then you get Fulgrim, who literally didn't get anything. Fulgrim had a rule changed, which is that on WTC format, he can hop the fence a little bit easier.
Where's all this 4-inch or less terrain then?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Let me go look at UKTC GW terrain, upcoming LVO LGT. Does this impact that at all? Not even a millimeter. It literally does not impact the game at all.
What if they just gave him the Knight rule where you can go through walls, but it costs...
You could get Battle Shock. I honestly think he could just go through walls and be fine. Let's just be clear here. I think it'd be completely
He did get
fine.
a points decrease, 25
He went down 25. He is still not a thing. He's still not a thing. I think he's down to like...
They're trying, though.
Okay, I appreciate that they're trying. The points change is appreciated. Fulgrim's rule change, though, is insulting. He's what? Is he 365 now? Good heavens. I thought he was cheaper than that, honestly. Because he's gone down twice
340.
Now. Yeah, okay. I think he was 365. Now he's 340. I'm of the opinion that Fulgrim is still a mile worse than a Demon Prince and a Mauler Fiend. And that is cheaper than Fulgrim. And I would just rather have a Demon Prince and a Mauler Fiend. And that's it.
It does not shock me.
That's it. Flawless Blades have gone from an overpriced unit that does nothing to an overpriced unit that does something. And so I'm willing to try it. I've already gotten a game in with Flawless Blades. I've got more on the schedule. I think I am going to take a Flawless Blade unit at a minimum in my next list. One, because GW has literally put a gun to my forehead and said that I have to change my list.
You better, John.
It was 2005. Like, can I just not do that? I made
a little jab. It's like a Makari size.
I made
stab.
a joke in the Emperor's Children Discord that I would have Flawless Blades go to 1 attack each if I could get the 10 points in my Cacophonous pack. I would prefer.
You would make that trade for all those Flawless Blade players out there.
You know what? I would do it for me. I would do it for them. I would do
selfishness
it for me.
of an Emperor's Children.
Slanesh gives me. Thanks. But yeah, I do think though that Flawless Blades, I think they were a little overcosted, but they actually do something now, and they're such gorgeous models. It's such a we have such a unit problem in Emperor's Children that it's worth spending the time to play them.
What about their place in the meta?
I
feel like they're feeling pretty.
Yeah, they're not mad at all about the Knights changes from a month ago. Funny enough, they actually really dislike the Challenger change. Emperor's Children, I think, was the single most abusive Challenger card faction in the game.
Really?
I think they were disgusting. I did not give people Challenger cards until they were dead. And I got Challenger cards in every game.
Because you just play...
Yeah, it would be
stage, boom, attack.
I would play games where it would be turn 3, and I'd look down and say, hey man, the scoreboard is currently 30-20. I'm the challenger. And the final score of the game is 92-35. It's like, sorry. Oh, it's turn 5. You're the challenger card. Boy, I hope I get fallback and shoot so that I can do something with the last tank on the table. Yeah, maybe you can. I don't really care. So I think that the challenger card is actually a relatively noticeable nerf to Emperor's Children. I think the meta shifting around them, the changes to the big 3 factions are generally positive because I hated that stuff. I think the new Votann, though, is a problem. I have a very frustrated opinion that I think that Emperor's Children as a faction peaked for 1 week, the first weekend of September, where Challenger, where Challenger cards were in, Knights, Chaos Knights, Death Guard got nerfed, the Votann Codex wasn't out yet. There was what
are you scared about in Votann specifically?
Land forts.
The T12. I mean, you need a lot of combos to beat
you either have the Disembark strat or you have Armor of Contempt land forts. To save Armor of Contempt, I cannot really do anything against other than mortal wounds. And you have too many land forts.
The Mauler Fiends can get in combat, right?
You're gonna get a 3-up save.
Oh, they're only AP2. I forgot.
I'm a 6-attack model that doesn't inherently have the reroll.
Yeah, that's super swingy. Yeah,
but I can hand you 4 saves, and you get a 3-up.
You're putting multiple key units into one target.
Yeah, and that's difficult, and I'm fragile. And so I do think that Votann is actually going to be a very bad matchup. Is my theory, because either you do the Disembark trick, where I don't have enough assets to put one thing out just in case you do it.
Yeah.
And so then you get an oops primary because you couldn't afford to do this. Or you do the Armor of Contempt one. I think that's very dangerous. So, unironically, I think that the strongest Emperor's Children have been as a codex has been the week of Nova.
Votann aside, do you think they'll play well into the rest of the meta and good enough to fit into Rising Contender? Because Like, I feel like they're alongside Aeldari, where they're feeling pretty good overall.
Yeah, I think this is still... I think it's... I honestly... I think that they're... If we're going to put them rising contender, I think they're at the bottom of it. I genuinely am of the opinion that they might be a little bit more stable. But I do think that with Knights and Chaos Knights becoming less and less popular...
Helps
I think
a lot.
It does help a lot. And I do think that we still have to play into Votann.
Yeah.
I don't think
for
it's
sure.
just like I'm cooked.
No, I would be shocked by that.
And, if all I'm saying is like, yeah, I think they've got like one matchup I really don't like.
Yeah.
'Cause I think they're going to be fine into a couple of other armies we are going to put in major winners. Like, because I actually think Emperor's Children are perfectly fine into Admech. Not like I'm going to crush you every time, but I don't think Admech Rising is going to hurt Emperor's Children particularly.
Yeah.
Killing 2 wound guys with an invuln, not a problem. Yeah. That's not what I suffer with. 18-inch lone up, I have literally never heard of that in my life.
Yeah.
So I don't think that by any means Emperor's Children are suffering here.
All right, Genestealer Cult. They received significant changes, basically across the board. So starting off, the Host of Ascension received a couple impactful changes.
Several.
Their 1 CP crit 5 strat became 2 CP. The Primus, who used to give full rerolls to hit, became +1 to hit instead, which is a pretty significant nerf. He did go down 10 points. And then you also had a variety of changes to blip stratagems across the kind of different detachments that are played, mostly because blips became kind of useless with the change to you can just deep strike instead. But now transitioning blips around the table can be more impactful if Biosanctic, which a lot of the combat units, the Abominant, the Aberrants, kind of got some changes here, whether resurgence points or in terms of points. So GSC, they got one style, which was their best style, nerfed a bit. Their stratagem to go back into reserve after being shot changed to end of the fight phase, which is
weirdly side grady.
Sometimes that was better. Sometimes this is going to be better. It's more in the GSC player's control. If your opponent can one-tap your units, you can
play a combat army.
Or you played a combat army, you can actually use a rule now. So it's a very interesting thing. I think GSC players are very excited to have Biosanctic back as a playstyle because it was previously the strongest way to play.
Yep.
Final Day gains quite a bit from this.
Yep.
Now, there are some increases to key units like the 5-man Jackal units, as well as the single Achilles Ridge Runner, which are pretty much staples in most of the different armies.
Yeah. And you get some counters to that.
You do get some drops there. So Pure Strain's the 10-body unit goes down 10. The Abominant goes down 10. The Metamorphs go down 10 for 5, 20 for the
Metamorph one is the one that we have to point at and have the alarm bells go off.
It's quite strong.
Minus 20 on the 10, just wee woo wee. Like, wait a minute, what?
They're quite good.
And a lot of their stratagems changed as well, and a lot of the different rules that slightly manipulated blip tokens that totally didn't work at all. They all changed in slightly distinctive ways. I'm not going to lie. Every time I play against Genestealer Cult, I'm just going to ask them to cover their version of it. It's a lot of this is slightly better and more useful. And so you took some off the top for Genestealer Cult, but a lot of things, they got a lot of compensation for it.
More so than most armies.
More than most get. More than T-Sun's got. Good God, more than T-Sun's got. I
think GSC players' initial instinct is going to be to say, oh, Host of Ascension did get nerfed more so than it got buffed. So probably significant drop in power.
Yeah.
But if Biosanctic is able to come back in a strong way or a different play style from Final Day emerges as well, GSC might end up being fine. They might even still be a strong meta contender.
And Biosanctic specifically and Final Day, which are both relatively early primary suppression armies, they both love the Challenger change. Whereas I think Host of Ascension was more cool with Challenger cards because they weren't really trying to dominate the table turn 1, but there's
late game domination.
Yeah, there's 2 early game domination playstyles available, I think. So Genestealer Cult has 3 good detachments, maybe 4, right? I'm still genuinely willing to hear an argument for the Outlander Claw as the kind of the mysterious, shadowy 4th wheel rising contender dark horse. But I'm sure Eric Lethurst is going to play the Challenger Cup or something.
That'd be sweet.
But I think Genestealer Cult is the least stable. I don't like saying that they got nerfed.
I could easily see them up in here with Biosanctic on the rise.
Oh man, I don't want to pretend that Genestealer Cult got better from this. I don't think they did.
So you think they're falling?
No, I think it's Stable feels weird because they're not stable. It's had massive internal shifts. But power relative to the rest of the game, I think Genestealer Cult were a relatively niche but strong army. And now I think they're a relatively strong but niche army, right? You know, like it's like Mork and Gork over here, right? These ones are brutal but cunning. Now they're cunning but brutal. Like, I don't know.
Half of the factions down here, half of the
it's like, I just kind of want to middle it and put them in stable. Like,
all right, we can put them in stable.
Host is down. Biosanctic is up. When people screenshot this and don't listen to anything, they're going to be like, what are you talking about? Genestealer Cult's not stable. It's unstable. I don't know. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back is how we got. Yeah. Right? Custodes literally sat down. Genestealer Cult ran forward, ran backwards.
Yeah. They got here just in a different way.
Genestealer Cult ran in a circle. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Gray Knights. So Gray Knights are one of those factions like Black Templars that did not receive any direct changes. There was a slight change to Warpbane because of the wording that had the old index wording in there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's staying the same. Now, Grey Knights are one of the biggest beneficiaries of the changes to Thousand Sons and Hosts of Ascension in particular, because those were 2 quite difficult matchups for Grey Knights, and both of them are significantly easier to play. And I've been having a great time playing Warpbane. I think a lot of people are testing out Banishers and still playing a good game with them. I feel very positive about the changes, or the lack of changes for Grey Knights. I think Challenger cards... Grey Knights are typically a late game army, but I really wasn't drawing challengers too much because I was smashing people in turn 3, and it didn't really matter. I was doing the Emperor's Children kind of thing, where like, oh, I fell behind like a little bit. Cool, here, here's the damage. So they are stable in terms of rules for sure. I think they benefit quite a bit from the meta shift, but we can put them in stable if you want to put them in there.
I'm down for Rising Contest. If you think that the meta shifting around them,
I think the meta shifting is very positive for them as a whole.
Okay. Agents.
Imperial Agents. Games Workshop did remember that they are an army, and they received the exact same Death Watch changes that...
I don't think they remembered. I think that someone like Control F to Death Watch and like accidentally edited the Agents document. They didn't mean to. They actually meant to just not change it, but they forgot.
Yeah.
They just did a replace all, and on accident. Completely forgot there's an Agents document here. I mean, I think it's stable. Like, I think Agents are so niche that they don't care about the meta shifting.
Nope.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's all right. We've already spent more time on Agents than GW has. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, they needed some other thing. I'm going to go ahead and edit the list here to open it back up, but very unfortunate. How about Imperial Knights, which got their codex and changes to the codex at the same time?
What are we ranking this relative to? Are we ranking this relative to the Reddit overreaction that we got to see on a couple of YouTube channels of how this was already going to ruin the game, which is crazy, and then we played a couple games and it didn't win any of them. And I'm like, I just don't know. That's that broken.
I mean, the big thing for us was like the offensive efficiency and consistency there went down, and also the durability. That Feel No Pain was massive. It was like 4 extra wounds for a big knight.
Scotch, my good friend Sam, says sorry to the 3 agent players in chat. I'm just curious. I want 3 agents players in chat to raise their hand. I don't think there's 3. Raise your hand up. Be honest. Don't do it for the memes. Raise your hand if you've played a game with agents.
You have a 2,000 point painted agents army. You've been to
I was going to say if you've played a game of agents in the past 3 months in chapter approved. Go ahead and raise your hand. See if we got 3. Anyways, back to Knights. The codex doesn't feel like a nerf because it got a lot of good rules, but the index detachment was great and it was replaced. Losing the Feel No Pain is admittedly a stinger.
Significant.
And so it may be a case that like none of the new detachments are quite as good as quite as good as the index. And it's weird. And the points are adding up. The points changes are adding up. And yeah, I don't know.
Like Valor Strike, the changes where you can't just free strat get 3 and target 3 different knights is a pretty significant change for that style.
Yep.
I honestly think these. Do you think it's falling or significant? Because it's definitely not stable.
I think it's falling. I don't think it's significant because we have a new codex. And I do think there's a lot of untapped power in there. All right. But yeah, I think it's better than Demons. I think it probably got hurt more than Demons though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it also does like the Challengers card change, but also is taking some nerfs here. So I think falling is fine. All right, before we move on to Votann, I will acknowledge 3 people have claimed to play Agents in the chat. A lot of people say that they know a guy or own the book, but 3 people claimed that they have played at least 1 game in the past month. All right, so you know what? Fair enough. 3 Agents players in the chat. I'm sorry to all of you.
Well, we just learned that the Art of War community has all the Agents players.
Yeah, we have every single
every single Agents player is
Good
here
heavens.
joining us. So Leagues of Votann, they received their codex. It is finally out in the wild, so they've been getting a decent amount of games out there. It's come out at a relatively even win rate. In the data slate, Votann as a new book did actually receive some changes, most impactful one being to the Brandfast stratagem Secure Positions, which is the stratagem to disembark, and it was end of any phase. Now it is end of your phase, which people are saying, oh my god, Brandfast is dead. It's not dead. It is still a strong detachment. It has a great detachment roll. The sustained is really quite impactful, especially on conversion weapons. And you also can still swing primary in your command phase. So I do believe that detachment is still quite strong. I don't think it's dead. I think it's up there with Need Guard and Delve and some of the other ones. Hearthband, the Grotmus detachment, also got its rule significantly upgraded because, of course, Hearthguard, the datasheet changed in the codex. Apparently, these were written with the codex in mind. This wasn't true for Hearthband.
They got a change, though.
They got a buff, and so reroll 1s to wound, which means Hearthguard can very easily reroll 1s to hit. They can be hitting on 2s. They can reroll 1s to wound. And then the enhancement for Armor Contempt got a way to spend yield points to get that if the opponent's within 18 inches of you instead of just 12. 12 is very niche against shooting units. 18 is pretty reasonable. And so overall, I think the detachment got quite a bit of an upgrade. It's one of the faster Votann detachments because you have 6-inch Deep Strike on the Hearthguard, which can help get them into place. And the datasheet can be very good into some of the Marine bodies that are out there, or Aeldari or GSC. So now Votann probably have 4 to 5 competitive play styles, which is once again kind of like that Chaos Space Marine style, where you have a lot of different flexibility. I feel generally very good about it, and I think they are, while not stable, and they technically received a nerf to Brandfast, I think they're a rising contender in the meta.
Yeah, and like the way that I see it is that the Votann Codex hasn't really arrived yet. Like it is here now, but we didn't see it before the balanced data slate at all. Like, we didn't see it play tournaments, I should say.
One of the biggest changes for me personally is the lack of challenger cards means that Brandfast, yes, you're only doing the 15s in the early game, the like turn 2, turn 3, but that's all you need to do. You get that, they don't get challenger cards, it's huge. It's literally huge. I think they are really well suited to play into Aeldari. John said he's fearful of the Landfort menace.
I am.
Children.
I don't want that.
I think they can play into Admech completely fine. I think they are genuinely feeling really good in the coming meta. They love the changes.
Another one of your armies on tap here, Necron tier.
Necrons. So Necrons received just a bare minimum of changes. One being very impactful, and then the others being relatively minor. So the minor ones are Triarch Praetorians go down a little bit, 10 points for the 5 model for 5. It's fine. They're like a JPI unit now. The little skirmisher, relatively cheap. Their rule doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It gives you extra little bit of 2 damage. That's fine. The Silent King went down 20 points, but his aura for ignore modifiers went to plus 2-inch movement. Plus 2-inch movement is not a bad rule. That's actually a pretty solid rule. Unfortunately, ignore mods is, as an aura, incredibly matchup defining. If we look through a lot of the matchups that Necrons were going into, there's a lot of -1 damage, ignored. There was a lot of minuses to hit, ignored. There's a lot of, minuses to wound are becoming more prevalent, Votann in particular. You also had all sorts of like OC manipulation, being battle shocked you could ignore. Not the stratagem part, but the OC manipulation, blanking damage. Literally, it was every amazing thing. Movement modifiers. That really helped against some of the best armies in the game that do have minus damage, that do have minus to hit, minus to wound. And I believe that 20 points is not enough compensation for that. I think the Silent King is still a good unit in Star Shatter. The -1 damage is still very impactful. And plus 2-inch move does help Wraiths and him. But I do think it is a net nerf overall, and I think Necron's best style, its damage efficiency style, was nerfed here. Awakened Dynasty doesn't care at all about this, but I think Awakened Dynasty is just weaker than that style.
Yeah, I'm inclined to say that they're falling. I don't think it's falling by a lot.
No, I don't think so. It's falling by a lot.
But I'm inclined to say falling.
Yeah, I'll put them up at the top.
Yeah. WOG, Mr. Rod?
Why? It's the Orks! And
D tier, no matter what Nick says.
few factions have gained as many changes as Orks did here. Significant ones. Both points drops and some rules changes as well. So
the points changes by themselves were merely fine because a lot of it was onto units that you weren't traditionally taking, and so it's easy to say, oh, well, I'm still not taking these units because I'm playing a certain style. You can build a list that went down almost 100, like about 100 points if you're aiming for, which would be like a Bully Boys Mega Knobs list with, a couple of those units in it. And, Boss Sneakrot goes down, so actually a good amount. So, like have a lone op who is like in that Goldilocks zone of like 80 points or less, where a lone op is just like a guy to sit on an expansion objective and to be valuable. Sneakrot's 75, I think.
Yeah, 75. He's really good for a lone op.
Perfectly good lone op there.
That can teleport.
That's one of those things that every army would like to have, is that 70-ish, 80-ish point lone op. Everyone takes that if they have access to one. So plenty of good changes on the points, but then the rules changes. The big one is Ghazghkull and Commandos, right?
Yeah.
There's
100%. Commandos can now just split. They don't need to transport or anything. They
just split.
You get 2 60-point units that can infiltrate. Orks are one of the armies that doesn't want to get jailed, doesn't want to be prevented from moving out of their deployment zone. Commandos,
Massive.
Pretty impactful there. And then you have Gaz can lead boys and knobs. And because he has the War Boss keyword, I believe, he can be joined by a different character, a support character, in his big 20-man boys unit. And that boys unit slams because his rule is impactful, and then
+1 to hit and wound.
Yep.
And they're automatically in range for the lethal crit
lethals.
5s that you get. I think part of that's WA based.
So
I think the crit 5s is normal.
Sustained is from the detachment, lethal is from Akari, and then the crit 5s is the stratagem in Warhost.
No, Gaz also gives crit 5s.
Oh, he gives crit 5s as well.
So you get crit 5s in 2 places.
That's right. You get to spend the strat in the other place.
Yes, it's Gaz's unit is like sus lethal crit 5s +1 hit +1 wound. You're just like, what?
And his transport capacity got changed down to 4 models.
This is technically a battle wagon buff, but this is actually a Gaz buff.
Yeah, so you can actually, he doesn't have to just trundle up the board in the early game with a huge unit. He gets to actually be mobilized, which is very impactful.
Yeah, battle wagon, great. Def Dread does better mortals instead of a battle shock test on the charge.
Hunter Rig and Kill Rig become monsters, so they're a little bit easier to maneuver around terrain, and they also get AP2 on their weapons.
A little bit better.
And then mech guns get a nice little change as well, but really Gaz and the Commandos are the most impactful, and of course some points decreases for the army.
It adds up, though.
It adds up a lot. Also, Orks are one of those armies that likes playing into a meta that's going to have some relatively elite armies because they can put a lot of saves on those bodies very quickly.
Yes.
And I think they're really well suited for this coming meta. I think they are a major winner, personally.
I think so. I think they're a major winner. It's Orks. I don't want to downplay the fact that Orks were bad before. But the thing with Orks is that they're a critical mass faction.
It wasn't like Warhorde was bad. It was just...
I honestly think it was. I think it was just bad.
I think Tactical was worse.
That's true. I do agree with that. But it's just one of those things where Orks, they're so binary. They either do or do not have enough gas in the tank. And when it's a firmly do not have enough gas in the tank, it's just like, oh, well, now I can't. Now I'm going to run at you and die. And if they do have enough gas in the tank, then they crump you. And you don't get to draw challenger cards. Another massive buff to Orks is the nerf to challenger cards.
It's a primary denial army, just flooding OC all over the board. It's hard to hold midfield objectives against them. They are going to get a big advantage. Like, trucks are on objectives and 1,000 boys are in your face. It's like, okay, well, this is going to take a while to claw out of.
Yeah, I've already played a game that I would have won with challenger cards in Orks.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man. Right? Like, would have mattered.
So, yeah, I think they're a major winner. You cannot underestimate how impactful having Infiltrate in an army like this is. An army that's easily move blocked.
Yep.
All right, Mr. John, you ready for it?
Of course I'm ready.
Space Marines.
Difficult to rank because Space Marines have so much going on. So I'm kind of bundling in like the 3 new detachments here, if I'm being honest. Right? We've had Forge Father and Shadowmark and, I don't know, Shield the Emperor, whatever.
Whatever the Imperial Fist one is.
And then we got nerfs to the points of the things that mattered, which was Ballistus and Guilliman. And then we got buffs to the points of a lot of things that don't matter, like Land Raiders and Aggressors, which I'm sorry, I just don't really care about Aggressors still. I wish I did, I just don't. However, I think this is a net positive because we have the new Raven Guard detachment, Shadowmark Talon. There's currently an argument over whether or not they receive +1 to wound to their oath target. I'm of the opinion that they do and should, and that at some point this will be fixed. It has not been yet. Once we get there, so honestly, let me just put it this way. I am framing my opinion through that lens. If that is not true, that does make the army worse. Go figure. Not having +1 to wound is important. However, I think it does get it, and I think it should. So I think Space Marines are net better. I think that the nerfs to Ultramarines are the kinds of nerfs that Space Marines can flex around, because the reality is that my Ultramarine lists 3 months ago went down 30 points and lost some CP. The CP change, not nearly as big of a deal as it sounds like. I'm sorry. But like, it's fine. We have enough CP to do what we want as long as you're just like careful about it, which I am. and then like I lost 30 points. I lost 40 points-ish on my list after I gained 30. So it's like, I'm kind of in the same place as I was a while ago. Like I can run the same list. It's 10 points off. I can find 10 points. Space Marines have a lot of options of, okay, well now that Genestealer Cult has been nerfed a bit, I'll just change my infiltrators to scouts, and that's like 30 points free. And then a couple of things did get cheaper in Space Marines, and so I am willing to go look at that and say, hey, it's okay. I'll just go run a thing that got slightly cheaper now. It's fine. So I think normal Space Marines didn't get hurt enough. I think Shadowmark Talon and Forge Father's Seekers are both very good detachments. I think they're both relevant. I was a little bit low on Forge Father early on, but I did play with it, and I did find the differences between between Forge Father and Firestorm to actually be a little more impactful than I thought they were going to be. 2 is that I did play it with the new points, where the Gladiator Valiant and the Land Raider and a couple things got cheaper. And in an army like Space Marines, as much as I'm talking about, like, yeah, it's kind of annoying, but you can drop 40 points and it's not that big a deal. It's also really nice when you get 40 points. Because 40 points can just be, oh, instead of 1 Vanguard veteran unit, I now have a tank. Or it can be all of my chaff is optimal chaff. I don't have any scouts. I have infiltrators and incursors and like heavy intercessors. There's a couple of good things here. As a matter of fact, later this week, there's going to be a game on our channel with Forge Father Seekers. And genuinely think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I would say Rising Contender for meta shift.
I agree with that.
I wouldn't say it's solid buffs, but I think Rising Contender, Space Marines were in a good spot. They're still in a good spot. I don't care what the win rate says. The win rate's not going higher than 46, to be clear. But they're still perfectly viable faction. I'm happy to be playing them.
Awesome. Heading over to the Space Wolves now, another Marine chapter. They did receive quite a few nerfs. No direct rules changes this time, but their Arjak Rockfist went up a little bit. Bloodclaws, the 20 model unit specifically, as well as Ragnar went up 10 points, and then Thunderwolves went up 15 and 10 for the larger squad, which is a really weird break point. So it's not like all of their key units, but decent amount of increases, especially if you were spamming Thunderwolves. And, this combos with the change they received in the summer, which was the, I believe it's the Iron Priest, who no longer is buffing a set of guns to the hilt.
Yeah.
Now, Space Wolves have been one of the most popular Marine chapters out there, but we're seeing Black Templars come into their own with their codex. We're seeing Space Marines, Death Watch, Raven Guard.
We're saying every other chapter got a buff.
Every other chapter basically got a buff. Honestly, I want to kind of put Black Templars in the rising meta contender.
You think so?
Based on, what we're doing here.
Okay.
I think it fits better than stable.
All right.
I think they really like the meta changes overall.
Okay. I'm down for it. I haven't actually played against the Black Templars.
I think it's quite good. So Space Wolves here, definitely...
You can't put them above the water level, right? They are drowning.
I definitely think they are a falling faction. Not significantly, in my opinion, but they face a lot of competition from other Marine chapters, and they didn't really gain a lot from this update.
Nothing. They gained nothing, because this is a case where, again, Space Marines can change like 40 points in a list. Anything more than that, and you can't. And then Space Wolves specifically gain a lot less from moving around pieces than Space Marines do, because Space Marines and keywords always work. But in Space Wolves, you often need to be the Space Wolf unit. And now you're not dipping as nearly as much into the deep well of, I have 16 different power armor foot units that cost less than 100 points and start with IN. And Space Wolves don't really benefit from that as much as other chapters do. And so like, if a Space Wolf list, I think most Space Wolf lists went up 50-ish points. Some went up 40, some went up 60. Once you're going up more than 40, even a Space Marine list can't eat that. And I don't think Space Wolves do it as well as Space Marines do when it comes to making these little changes. I'm surprised they went up as much as they did, if I'm being honest. Space Wolves were good. I didn't think they were crazy.
Yeah, I could have seen them.
Like, in a world where Death Watch, Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Raven Guard, Salamanders, 5 chapters are getting better this week. And Space Wolves are the only one that's getting worse. Ultramarines are kind of grading to the side, but also we're hyped AF because we finally got a new Calgar model, the one we've been waiting on for 7 years, the one that we deserve more than Drukhari players deserve the models.
What about my Caldor Drago, John?
Who?
Why? Why would
they convert one out of a Calgar?
I will.
Martin's Calgar forever. But seriously though, it's just hard for me to be that excited about Space Wolves right now.
Yeah,
and they like the Challenger change.
Yeah, we're not saying Space Wolves are bad. Remember, the ranking here is based on how the balanced data slate treated these, not necessarily a direct comparison of the rankings. We're going to do that in coming weeks.
Yeah.
All right, Thousand Suns. I love how we do Thousand Suns after Space Wolves. That really
I know, right? It's alphabetical.
And you've been wondering, why did we even bother creating this bottom tier of significant power level drop?
Just throw them in.
So this is the patented. You received significant nerfs. So
in
rules changes, and then there was points changes as well, all of which is quite significant and will add up for Thousand Suns. Now, Thousand Suns were a very good army. They were very strong. They did need a nerf. This is quite strong. This is a lot of nerfs.
I mean, this is a head scratcher. I'm sorry, but like Thousand Suns were good. But this level of nerf is for like Index Eldar didn't get hit this hard. This is like almost as hard as what Slanesh Demons got.
Or Ynnari.
Almost. Or Ynnari. No, this is harder than what Ynnari got.
That's fair.
This is harder than what Ynnari got.
Because they went light on the points.
Yeah, but like the points on this went up. This is, I don't know, like...
If you were going to tell me that Thousand Suns were the most nerf faction, I would not have believed you.
Yeah.
If I was looking at it, my guess would have been Aeldari would have received the most significant nerfs.
I would have guessed Death Guard.
Well, they got their point. If you're counting the points,
okay.
If you're counting the points from August, then yes, I would have expected Death Guard and then Aeldari.
Mm-hmm. But I believe they gave a couple of constellation buffs, and for what it's worth, I don't think that Thousand Suns are a literally dead faction.
No.
They're just a less popular. Did the Terminators get cheaper? Am I fabricating that?
The Chaos Land Raider and then the Scarab Cult, the large 10 model unit, and then the robots. The robots went down.
I don't really care about the Secatars.
They went down 15 points, which is not bad. For the
nice
360s.
Cheaper is nice.
Yeah.
Magnus went up though. Enough things went up that you can try to construct a list that only lost 1 unit.
Zangor Enlightened, you were always seeing multiple of those on the Great Bows. Well, plus 30 on the 6 model unit, only plus 10 on the 3 model, so you'll still see those. The Shaman went up 5 points. The Eldritch Vortex went up 10. The basic Zangor Enlightened.
Spear Goats went up.
Yep, even the basic ones. The Sorcerer, he was always seen like 2 to 3 of those up 10 points. Mm-hmm. Rubric Marines, even their basic, like 4 to 6 of these squads went up 5 points each. The Vortex Beast up 15. If you're running 2, that's 30 points. Magnus up 15. The Master 10.
There's bigger nerfs.
Then obviously not being able to cast, if you get to attempt each spell instead of, I failed it the first time.
You know what that really does? That is a nerf to 3 detachments. Because now you are so hard forced into the index detachment.
Which is what they should have changed. The index was too good. They needed the other ones to be stronger.
This rules change is a slight nerf to Grand Coven and a massive nerf to everyone else. Mm-hmm. And Grand Coven was the best one.
Yes. It was.
Could you imagine if the Emperor's Children nerfs had been that like rapid evisceration gets worse?
Yeah.
Like
I was expecting Grand Coven specifically to get some changes.
Yeah.
And possibly some buffs to the other playstyles, and Thousand Suns to internally be rebalanced rather than an overall external significant drop.
So like I genuinely talked about this nerf like 3 months ago or 6 months ago, whenever T-Suns came out, as like I actually would like that. I didn't want that and plus 200 points.
Yes.
Right? Like I didn't want both of those. Like I could have gone for the rules change, and then Bow Goats now cost the same for 6 as 2 3s. Mm-hmm. That alone would have been enough.
And I think this is really one of the things that's being highlighted here is that some sort of nerf should have happened in the summer data slate. Yeah. Some nerf to the main fact, like Death Guard, this Thousand Sons, they should have received some sort of changes there and let those be seen for a couple more months. Yeah, I think just ignoring
like 5 months
if something is silly about a new codex, like for Votann, I think it's great that they changed secure positions immediately, did not wait 3 months to see how strong that was. It's too strong.
Super impactful. Very important that we did that.
I think they should do that more often, and not huge changes, not anything to this level, but they should have targeted a couple things and been like, all right, we'll change these here and there. And could be both buffs and nerfs.
Yeah. Because I've been ranting for the past 5 minutes, the one, I'll drop a kernel of hope. One, I think the Terminator build is better than people were giving credit for. I actually think the Terminator shouldn't have gone down, but you guys got raked so hard that the
Terminator Sorcerer also gained a nice upgrade.
When you get raked over the coals like that, you need something, and so I'm glad they gave you something else. Genuinely though, those Terminators should go up 15 points, and then less stuff should have gone up, but whatever. This is, I guess, a roundabout way to get there.
The Terminator build was the highest score at WTC, right?
Yeah, that was. But I also actually think that the Thousand Sons Demon Princes are way better than credited. The Flying Demon Prince for Thousand Sons is 1/70. And in the context of everything you are looking at for Thousand Sons right now, I think you really have to relook at the Demon Princes. That's my take as a non-Thousand Sons player. Try it out if you're feeling bad about the faction. I genuinely think it's good.
They have other options. All right. Tyranids. Tyranids. How are Tyranids feeling here?
Tyranids got no nerfs, which is good, because that would have made me cry. And they did get some buffs, which is nice. Tyranids got like 10 to 15 points in like 4 different places. Then let's see if I can do this on memory. The Neuralictor got 10 cheaper.
Yes.
The 10-man Genestealer got 10 points cheaper. The Turvagon went down 15. And I feel like the last one was like the Toxicrene or something.
Moloch down 10.
Moloch. Okay. And then, is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Not the Toxicrene is the Moloch.
No.
Okay.
Toxicrene is still doing his thing.
And the Moloch is genuinely just like cheap at this point. These are all good. None of these matter that much. Tyranids very much have a place of, they are one of the armies that can adjust 30, 40 points or make use of 30, 40 points perfectly reasonably. Like what this probably does for Tyranids is you take your old list and you say, oh, wow, I'm going to promote one of these Hormigaunt squads to a Gargoyle squad. I have a different OC2 battle line unit doing a contest fight. And that is nice. Cool. I like that. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, it's stable. Like, who am I kidding here? I think Invasion Fleet has benefited the most here because Invasion Fleet has, it's the best attachment to run a Turvagon in, and it's probably the best attachment that you take Genestealers in, 10-man Genestealers in. Because Vanguard is better for Genestealers than Invasion Fleet is, but Invasion Fleet is just a better detachment right now because Vanguard has such fundamental problems with like the tough stuff where if you run into a Knights player or a Votann player, you're just going to water on rock, man. You're just not going to do anything. And so I'd rather be Invasion Fleet, even if I have slightly worse Genestealers are still good enough to take. And that's where you take the 10-man because you don't do it in whatever it's called, Subterranean.
Yeah.
So I think Invasion Fleet is genuinely, stocks are up. So now Invasion Fleet and Subterranean Assault I see as vaguely equal detachments. Not like, but like, yeah, just my second best detachment got better and is closer to my first detachment while probably still being very slightly worse. And what it is now in your Subterranean Assault list, instead of having 2 Lictors, you have 1 Lictor, 1 Neuralictor, and that's, woo! That's what you're doing.
Little differences here and there.
Yeah.
It's stable. It's good.
Stable.
Tau. So Tau received in the summer data slate some significant changes to how the army rule works to make the army a bit easier to play, less punishing, and that has helped a bit, but ultimately hasn't really seen the impact that I think Games Workshop were looking for, so they've added a few more changes here. First of all, the Riptide gains the strength on its weapon. It's been ridiculous that the Ion Accelerator has been strength 8 the whole time. It is now strength 9 base standard and strength 10 when overcharged, which is mostly what you're doing. This is a huge change. Really helps against like Terminator type bodies, those T5 bodies, and also helps into the light vehicles that Riptides can now help against. You don't need Skyrays or Hammerheads to be able to kill light vehicles. The Riptide can perfectly handle that. The Riptide, of course, doesn't go up any points. It's still pretty expensive at 190, but it is very, very good. I've been running 3 in most of my lists because I think it's genuinely quite strong, and this makes me want to do it even more. So if you haven't been running Riptides, this is a major buff, significant to the Riptide specifically, not necessarily to Tau, but to the Riptide. And then if we look at the points decreases, Farsight goes down a little bit. Broadsides go back to where they were in the Codex, when the original Codex released before the MFM. So 80 points for the single model, and then 170 for 2, as well as 270 for the 3 model unit. So some steep decreases there for the different units. This is quite impactful because it does open up the Monka missile unit if you want to go that direction, or having MSU, which is kind of rewarded by the army rule, like rails. So you just have more activations across an army. I think that's generally quite positive. Like I said, Farsight and the Sunforge and the Fire Knives go down 10 points each. Crisis Suits need some additional help, frankly. I think every time I run them, I'm always disappointed. It's sad because I love the models, but I don't think that's going to be that helpful. And the Firesight team also is just not very good. So extra 10 points off doesn't really matter there.
Yeah.
The main thing for Tau is its strongest playstyle, which is the Crude Horde. It doesn't get any changes, and it has the highest win rate by far for Tau.
Yep.
I am painting it up, and eventually we'll get that back on the table. I've played one game with it, but I'm going to play another with all the rampages and everything once I get that painted. So look forward to that. But I think the Riptide change is enough where I feel like Tau got a solid buff.
Yep.
Also, the meta coming down around them, some of the like high durability stuff, it makes it a lot more playable.
Yep. So
I feel Tau are feeling quite good about this update. I've seen some negativity, like the Riptide change is huge. Strength 10 on Riptides is massive. Cannot underestimate how impactful that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's impactful into T9 and T10.
Literally the game, basically.
5, right? T5, 9, 10. Mm-hmm. If I had to pick, I would say strength 9 to 10 is one of the two most impactful changes 100%. You can make. The other is going from 4 to 5. So,
lastly, World Eaters. So World Eaters had some points increases, some points decreases, and a couple significant rules changes. So for the rules changes, we have Exalted 8-Bound, previously not seen. Get an incredibly strong datasheet rule, which is that when they attack a monster vehicle unit, they get +1 damage.
It's not that I'm ungrateful, I'm just jealous.
This combos, of course, with sustained and lethals, which they can very easily get from their army rule. And then the Slaughterbound, which is a very good character to lead them, went to Strength 10, which means with the breakpoints in Berserker Warband, they absolutely slam. I believe Jack rolled it out 70 times when the rule came out, and he kept saying that the minimum he did with 3 Exalted 8-Bound and a Slaughterbound was about 40 damage to a Knight-type chassis, which is incredible. That's a lot of damage. World Eaters previously, kind of struggled. They had to damage by committee those type of targets.
Yeah.
Now they just slam them. So let's look at these points decreases. We have Angron going down 25. Land Raider goes down like it has been. Chaos Spawn go up 10. They're a very good skirmisher. No surprise there.
Yeah.
The Terminators go down 10 and 20 respectively. 8-Bound down 15 and 30 for the 3 and 6 model. Exalted down 20, 40. With that rules increase, Forge Fiends up 20. No surprise there, but it doesn't kill them. And Karn goes up 15 to 100. He's still extremely good for 100. World Eaters, in my opinion, I would put them as the biggest winner of this update. Would you agree with that, John? Because they were already a very strong army. They were starting to perform very, very well, even with the Knights out there.
We're definitely going major winner. I don't know if I would agree with you on the single biggest improvement.
You think Orks is better?
I actually think Orks and Admech both improved more than World Eaters.
Really?
The
Forge change is huge.
It is. The Forge Fiends points change is noticeable, and the Spawn change is noticeable. Now, they got so much in compensation that I'm okay with this for World Eaters, because World Eaters were an army that I really don't think needed a buff. They were performing well. They had a roughly 40% win rate. I think they were at 49 to 50, depending on the week you checked, and we saw multiple good top placings out of them. And now they are better than that. And so I think that they are sitting pretty to be one of the better armies in the game.
Yeah, 100%. The two things I take issue with is, so World Eaters were performing well. I love that Exalted 8-Bound went from a useless datasheet rule to an actual impactful one. That should 100% happen for their main elite infantry unit. I think that it doesn't fit alongside some of the modern releases, which for Grey Knights excludes characters from getting the extra damage buff.
Yep.
So that should have happened. Exalted 8-bound or the Slaughterbound going to Strength 10 and also getting this buff, insanity, without any increase.
Yeah.
And then when you do a big increase like this with significantly boosting the damage of a unit, there should be a points increase with it, or at least they remain stable.
Or stable, yeah. If it was
they should not have dropped 20 points or 40 for the large squad, which I don't know if we'll see that, but definitely shouldn't have dropped here. If we remember back to Dread Knights when they got the huge change to the +1, the additional hitting capacity, as well as the gun getting a AP2 ignores cover, the heavy side cannon, they also went down at the same time, and it was too oppressive, and they had to get multiple increases. And I think that'll happen here.
Yeah, I really think that we are, though, going to see that point where we're not seeing as many Forge Fiends. And if it makes World Leaders more monodimensional, maybe it'll be easier to play against them, or maybe they lose a lot by taking a still not cheap Exalted 8-bound squad, even though they hit like crazy hard. They hit like freight trains. You still can get some Forge Fiends behind it, but at that point, you may not be able to fit as many spawn units as you want, especially the new cost. And so, I don't know. There's a lot of good things going on for World Leaders right now. I think World Leaders players are going to be thrilled by these changes. And I don't want to be too sour grapes about it, because I actually think that direction-wise, this is a great change to make. Because the reality is that, as you said, one of the premier World Eater iconic units didn't do its job.
Yes.
And that is a shame and deserves to be fixed.
And I like that they are fixing it. The last couple of slates, they've looked at data sheets that don't fit what they should be doing and have changed them. I think that's amazing.
Yep.
Games Workshop should be, actually supported in doing so.
I'm still being sour grapes, though, because I still look at Flawless Blades. I'm like, hang on, how come I didn't get a points decrease? A +1 attack is good, but so is +1 damage, and one of these things went down 20 points, the other one's still. I'm like, I don't know.
At least you're only 110.
Yeah, but my rule is wound on threes, and then Exalted 8-bound are just strength 14 anti-monster vehicle 3+. I'm like, wait, that wounds everything on threes and some things on twos, and they're +1 damage. Hold on here. That could be a little cheaper.
All right, so this is our list here. Now, once again, for anybody who's just been tuning in, this is not a ranking of the armies based on their power level. This is not saying that Admech, Orks, and World Leaders are the best 3 armies in the game. This is saying that the balanced data slate improved those armies the most out of any of them.
Yes.
And so we let's go through it. So in Major Winner, we have Admech, Orks, and World Leaders. Yep. Would you put Orks above Admech, or you like this order? What?
I actually like that order. I think the Admech changes are massive.
They are. I think the armies
struggle. All of these obviously got impactful. But
struggle to do consistent damage. I think they've solved that finally. Then Adepta Sororatis in solid buffs with Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Deathwatch, and Tau. I would imagine that. What do you think? I think Deathwatch are the
Deathwatch got the most out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry. Of the Marines, I think Sisters got more than Deathwatch.
I think Tau ended up getting more than this. The Riptide change is really huge.
Yeah, I think that I honestly would put Sisters in front of Deathwatch, but
okay.
Yeah, just for impactful changes. I don't think this changes the fact that you don't see Deathwatch that much.
Yeah, it's a rare one.
Nice, unfortunately.
Rising contenders. So Aeldari, EC, Grey Knights, Votann. I put Votann a little bit higher up here, and then the Raven Guard.
Space Marines at the top of it, honestly.
I think that Raven Guard detachment is going to be really, really quite strong.
I'd put EC behind Votann in this case.
Okay.
And I think I'm okay with that.
Stable?
They're all stable.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter where they are. We'll put, just for the kicks, we'll put Imperial Agents at the end.
Absolutely.
And then Falling Faction. I think Necrons definitely fall the least out of them, and probably, I mean, Demons.
I think Knights fell the most.
Yeah, Knights fell the most.
Yeah.
And then obviously Thousand Sons at the bottom.
There we go.
So if you agree with us, disagree with us, if you have any other opinions or feedback, definitely let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps us grow. And if you want to see us playing and talking about these armies, check out The Worm at theworm.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial, and on top of that, you get access to our awesome international Discord community that has conversations with every single faction that you see here. So best time to be playing 40k. This is a huge update to the game, and the meta is in an amazing spot, and I'm really excited heading into the world's meta.
Me as well.
Now we're going to go ahead and go through Super Chat. So if you have questions for us specifically about your army, about anything really, you can feel free to Super Chat it, and we're going to go through them one by one here. So starting off,
Let's go to the wide shot.
Oh, yes. Let's go on into the wide shot here. So, going all the way back up to the top, we have Mortorin. Thanks so much for joining at the War and Bronze. Really appreciate your support. Welcome to our community. We have Bailey with a $2 super chat. Please play the lion in a detachment you don't hate.
I will do that.
Would you play him in Wrath of the Rock?
Yeah, it's just awful. Don't worry. Dark Angel's next game will be with a Codex Space Marine detachment, and I will be playing the lion in it.
Maybe some Landspeeder Vengeances.
Honestly,
and a Death Shroud.
I probably will, yeah.
A Dark Shroud.
The Dark Shroud's in there like swimwear.
Death Shroud. It's Dark Shroud. Leo Shu, thanks so much for your $10 super chat. Between John Lennon and Michael Mann, what's with the AOW team having multiple members with the same names as celebrities? Is this something you plan to further cultivate in the future? We've been mostly trying to hire people who do have a famous celebrity name. That way, when when people search for them,
I haven't heard of another Michael Mann.
Google is our friend.
Google's our friend. I will say that we have been trying to cultivate this. As a matter of fact, that's why we recruited Kyle McCord, the famous quarterback of Syracuse last year.
He is an American film director, screenwriter, author, and producer.
Oh.
Stylized crime dramas, 2 primetime Emmys, Thief, Manhunter, Last of the Mohegans, Heat. Okay, well.
Do me a solid.
Miami Vice. Okay, well, actually quite famous. I just didn't know it was Michael Mann who did this.
Yeah, Google Kyle McCord for me. I don't remember if he got drafted or not.
Kyle.
Maybe he's a free agent. Philadelphia Eagles. There we go. Okay, yeah.
We have Kyle McCord. We got Michael Mann. We got John Lennon. We're working on it.
We're working on it.
So
we'll find more.
If you find some 40k talent out there who has a famous name, let us know.
We'll get them.
Contact at theorder40k.com. Clubber Watson, member for 20 months of the gold tier. Thank you so much for being a longtime subscriber. Feel like a loser with Custodes when armies that are a struggle to beat got buffs or no changes. They got changes in the last round. It just wasn't quite enough. Yeah. I honestly think Custodes are a prime target for a new detachment. New detachment.
Again.
I know.
I completely agree.
Ultimately, they have a lot of, they have Custody body that does something. Usually combat. They have the Guard. They've got the Terminator variant. They have the Warden. It's like...
are going to hate this.
They have so few data sheets.
I think there is one thing that Custodes need above all else.
Be combined with Imperial Agents.
No. They need Warden nerfs. I'm not trolling. The Warden is such a good data sheet that they are holding the entire faction underwater. Yes. Because if Wardens have too much support, they are broken.
Yep.
And if you nerf Wardens, you can then buff the entire army.
Frankly, what they did with Meganovs was perfectly reasonable. Make it a 5-up instead of a 4-up Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Wardens, I think, need to go to a 5-up. I think Wardens need a 6-up Feel No Pain passive. 5-up Feel No Pain during the golden phase. And then go down 5 points, and then you can buff Custodes. But right now, if you buff Custodes significantly, Custodes are a tipping point army. Yeah. They either are or are not.
They're like Knights.
Yeah, or Orks. They either do or do not cross the threshold, and they don't. They do not do it right now, and I'm sorry. And they really haven't changed that much since Worlds when they did cross the threshold. The game has changed, and they've gone up like 20 points, and suddenly the army's bad. But... you have to nerf Wardens to buff Custodes to the level to make them not this problem. I don't know. I think Wardens are just bad for the army. You gotta nerf them. And then buff everything else. I don't hate Custodes.
So,
just Folgers.
Just people who make 4-up invulns all the time. Redrum, €2 super chat here. The real question, John, is Wrath of the Rock better now? Thanks so much, Redrum.
Worse. It's worse now because they buffed Landspeeder Vengeances who don't get any benefits whatsoever in Wrath of the Rock. Therefore, you have less incentive to take Wrath of the Rock, which you shouldn't have anyways.
Crom MB, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Out of these 4 armies, which one would you start now for the new meta? Guard, Raven Guard, Tau, or Blood Angels? I think it's pretty easy. It's either Raven Guard or Blood Angels.
Raven Guard!
So it's a Marine chapter. Now, both Blood Angels and Raven Guard...
Blood Ravens.
They play in very different ways. One is quite shooting oriented and teleporting. The other one is more combat oriented.
Everybody takes an intercessor squad.
So if you have a personal playstyle preference that leans one direction or another, I would definitely lean towards those two. Mm-hmm. Tau is a very difficult, complex army to play, and then Guard is a very even-keeled type of army, but can struggle if you're not very good with screening and moving your models in a way where your army isn't getting tagged in combat, because that's bad. Bad news. Indeed.
All right. This one's for you from Jay. Thank you so much for the $5 Canadian super chat. Have you looked at Hearthband, Siegs? Seems actually quite solid. Have you thought you'd build a list in that attachment?
So I have. I've been doing the Votann group coaching now for the members who signed up. So I've released a list for Hearthband in there. I personally still am not the biggest fan, and the main reason is I just don't think Hearthguard are that good. I'm going to say it. I think you can run the 10-mans in a variety of detachments, put a lot of buffs on them. It's a ton of points. It's in one place. Once they're on the table, they're very slow and very easy to play around because of their short range. If they're not in half range, they're not getting the extra plasma shots. So I personally, 6-inch Deep Strike is really good for them in Hearthband, and the rules are good to support them. I still worry about 2-up save, 2-wound bodies not being that durable in the meta.
Yep.
And that's a big concern. I lean more towards Kneeguard and Brandfast as my playstyle, but I think Hearthguard is a competitive detachment for players who like that style. I think it is up there. It just doesn't fit my playstyle as much, even though I love Hearthguard as a model.
Yeah, 100%.
We've got Andreas here with a 75. You're stumping me with it. Is this the Uruguayan currency? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. UYU.
Okay,
I mean,
I'm looking it up.
We can find this out.
UYU currency.
Uruguay is where I was going for this.
Uruguay, yes. Uruguayan peso. Wow, I'm good.
There you go. Thank you so much, Andreas. Will the new Space Marine changes, specifically for Ultramarines, bring some new twist to the subfaction, or are we still pigeonholed into using the same units? So, I do believe we are pigeonholed into the same units. With that said, that is specifically Ultramarines. I do think that the way that we are getting new unit types is by getting new chapter detachments for things like Raven Guard or Salamanders, which genuinely will take different units than Ultramarines. Ultramarines, however, until we see what these new rules bring for Calgar or Victrix Guard, Sicarius, if these get changes the way that we're seeing with the other Spaceman characters.
And they have to,
which I'm assuming that is going to happen, and we'll probably be attached with them as well. But until that point, I do think you're bringing roughly the same thing, but I'll just say it again. If you want to change up from the Ultramarine Gladius, I think Ultramarine Stormlance is still really good. Plenty good. We'll have a Space Marine State of the Faction out in the next couple weeks. I've already got a list written that'll be in that, but I genuinely think it's still very viable.
The Golden God Dennis is in chat, and with his $10 Canadian super chat says, John, are Flawless Blades still too overcosted for you to try 3x3? Is there any play with a Land Raider in Rapid Evisceration?
They're not too overcosted for me to try. I'll tell you that much.
We'll see if he brings them to a tournament.
I hate to say this. I still believe that Emperor's Children is just completely locked in the coterie cage. There is...
It's a nasty cage, though.
Dude, it's sick. It's awesome. I love having one of the best attachments in the game. Boy, is the second one a mile down. So, in my opinion, no. Or to the Land Raider. But if you want to play Rapid Evisceration, screw it, take the Land Raider.
We have a Nexus Floof here with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Pouring one out for the Primus. Rest in peace. Good night, sweet prince.
Appreciate you in the chat.
I definitely don't really see the Primus fitting in anymore, but that frees up some points. Will I Really Am, a £2 super chat. Thank you so much. If Orc Commandos split unit, where does the squig go?
Great question. I do not believe it is firmly clear in the rules. I think by technical rules as written, you get 2 bomb squigs.
Because it's 2 new units.
It's 2 new units. However, I think we can very clearly look at Adepta Sororitas, who had an FAQ saying the exact opposite, and say that what would be much more reasonable is that you pick a unit. If I were playing with my friends, I would play that way. I would pick 1 bomb squig, and I put the marker on the unit that gets it when I make the split. Same with the Distraction Rod. If I were going to a tournament, I would ask the TO. This is not clear to me at all. I have an opinion.
We will find out.
I'm sure it'll get fixed at some point.
John Apocalypse, £5 super chat. Thank you so much. My last local tournament, an Imperial Agents player got 2nd place and beat my friend who played the Righteous Crusaders. Just had 100+ bodies.
Yeah, and they can still do the exact same thing with all these changes.
Like, agents aren't horrifically bad in the sense that they don't have any rules. Like, they have some good rules. The problem is that they're so monodimensional, they're so limited, and they're an army that's just very niche.
Yeah.
Callum, £5 super chat. Thank you so much. Just going to point out, Neurolictor released at 70 points at the start of 10th. Sad no datasheet changes on NID's datasheets. Give the Screamer twin linked.
I genuinely think I'm going to be going to 3 Neurolictors in my Invasion Fleet lists.
What else I would do? Great datasheet.
Yeah, it's a great datasheet. I want to have them back.
You used to have 3, right?
I used to have 3. I've got 3 of them fully painted, nice as I can. Yeah, I'm ready for this.
Matt, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Imperialis Fleet, Cop Jail got a nice buff with the loss of Challenger cards. I'm sure GW took that in mind with this data slate. Our time has come. That is true.
Dude.
There's several armies here that gained significant buffs from simply challenger cards not existing.
Like agents, maybe they got significant buffs.
Yep.
Cop jail!
See, we should have put them in solid buffs.
Should have done it.
Bucket of Steel Cable. Thanks so much for your $6 or $7 Canadian super chat. Why do you guys keep talking like me? AdMech is something people will need to worry about, like it's going to be a top meta threat. We are talking about, so AdMech is still a very hard army to play. It's not, the average AdMech player is not going to go all the way up here just because of these rules. It's still going to be very difficult to play. However, the best AdMech players are going to put up, good results, in my opinion, based on these rules changes because they are quite significant. They really help the areas that AdMech struggled with previously. They just didn't have things in certain roles, and now they do, and that means good players will take advantage of it. Yep. So we're not saying they're the top meta faction right now. We are saying that they were one of the biggest winners from the Dataslate changes as a whole. Care Bear Warfare. Thanks so much for your $5 super chat. John, if you had to run a Hierophant in Subterranean Assault, how are you supporting it, and do you lean more towards shooting or melee in the list? That's so funny because didn't you have a loyalty program list that required you to do a Hierophant in Subterranean?
I did, yes. So I think I would lean more towards shooting just because the Hierophant is very much like, it can get into melee with things that get in front of it, but it can't go get things in melee, but it can shoot, and it actually shoots quite well, and it appreciates the rerolls. So I think I would lean into shooting. I would probably build around it, just like, that's kind of the anti-tank piece at this point, and so you're trying to build around it like a bit of melee and a good amount of contesting pieces. You want to have extra gargoyles and hormigons as like screens of the thing that I don't want to hit the Hierophant, can't hit the Hierophant, and then more interacting with your opponent's primary because the Hierophant is very terrain dependent in that aspect. It gets to go somewhere, it just doesn't always get to choose where it goes. And so I think just extra infantry screens, and it's a countercharge unit that is specifically going to be giving a good shooting output piece to the army as well. Plus, you can put things like Hormigons into the Hierophant, and that gives a great staging spot for it to go do something.
Then we have the hero himself, the legend, John McCardell. $100 super chat. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate your support. I saw your messages in chat. I'm glad you're having a great time and enjoying the changes. Doing great and taking World Eaters to LVO. Best of luck at the tournament. Excited about the resurrection of 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound. Nice to see Exalted 8-bound getting the new unit ability that helps them a little bit more. I don't know what B4T...
Blood for the Blood God?
Oh, it's Blood for the Blood God.
I know that one.
Yeah, I'm a fool. I have no red in my veins, John.
I know.
Orks also stoked with World Eaters, easier to fly with. Glad Gaz got the extended cab on his Batwagon. Honestly, John, I'm not sure how much money you've been super chatting to Games Workshop, but it seems like your army's got quite a few significant buffs and your favorite models. You've been doing the Lord's work out here.
There you go. We appreciate you, John McCardell. Thank you so much.
All right, we have Birdie's Bonanza. Thanks so much for your £10 super chat. John, what is your foundational list for Forge Fathers now? Redeemer and Valiant stocks up. Great analysis as always from you and the good doctor. You're going to be very excited for tomorrow's game, which I believe is the YouTube game. It'll be live on our channel, and it is Orks, the new Orks, versus the new Forge Fathers detachment, I believe.
It is indeed. So, the foundational list is a Redeemer and 3 Valiants, and then Impulsors filled with Infernus Marines zipping around in front of it.
John, we're trying to... Infernus Marine, man.
It was better than I expected.
Oh, I know. John's been an Infernus hater for a long time. Clip this moment.
Yeah, go ahead. It's fine. I'm happy for it. I own 40 of them, so we'll make it work. Generally, though, pretty high on that. I actually think it's quite a good playstyle. I think it'll be, if you liked Ultramarine Gladius, I think that Forge Fathers will be a real alternative if you want to continue that whole playstyle.
And we have Care Bear Warfare again. Thanks so much for your $10 super chat. Toxicrin needs serious love, either points or more AP. What would it take to be viable? Also, if Death Guard has access to 6-inch Deep Strike and Charge, it's criminal that the big base Trigon cannot do it. I
do think the Trigon should be able to 6-inch Deep Strike and Charge based on his data sheet. You can already do it in Subterranean Assault, and it is clearly not broken. So let's let him do it in Invasion Fleet, and it'll be fine. Like,
he's so cool. Those models are like my favorite Tyranid models.
I know, dude.
Giant snakes.
They should just let them have that. However, the Toxicrene, it needs more AP. It needs more damage. It needs to not be huge. The model problem of the Toxicrene is genuinely the biggest part. Beyond that, I would only say that it is just also bad. But if you took away the model problem and made it usable, it would just be a bad model. So you got that going for you. The problem is that like you compare it to a Horus Specs and you're like, wait a minute, this is a worse Horus Specs that costs more and is harder to hide. And I'm not even taking a Horus Specs. It's like an anti-infantry 3+, or maybe it's 2. I think it's 2+. I think it's like an anti-infantry 2+ volume of attacks monster. It's a bunch of AP 1 damage 2. It's like strength 6, AP 1 damage 2, anti-infantry 2+. And you're like, oh, that's cool. Wait a minute. The Horus Specs is the same thing as strength like 9. And you're like, oh, that's like the same as anti-infantry 2+ 80% of the time. And when it's not, it wounds on 3s. And then it's better into tanks. And it's cheaper. I'm like, anti is such a good rule on little stuff. And sometimes I look at a big thing and I'm like, why are you anti? Right? Like, it's like, oh. Yeah, it's like, oh, cool. I'm anti-Titanic 4+ on this gun. What's the strength? 14. Cool. I don't know, man. You could have just made the talk screen strength 8 and it'd be okay. Yeah. So it's strength 6, anti-infantry 2+. I'm like, well, you sure are, buddy. Damage 2.
We've got Archimedes, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. New drinking game. Take a shot each time John says, genuinely, I'm drunk already.
Oh my goodness.
Who's been keeping track? I want the actual number of genuinely in the stream.
He doesn't genuinely want that.
Talus went down 30 points. I'm just turning my hammerhead into a plane. I would recommend against doing that, mostly because the hammerhead is significantly better than the planes. And yes, the plane can ignore obscuring, but it just doesn't do that
hide
much
behind
damage.
Obscuring either.
And the problem is that you're often not getting the guided benefit for the plane. Now, the anti-ground one doesn't need it as much, but it's just not that it's not very good. And then it dies instantly back in return, whereas a hammerhead can put up a lot of fire at those narrow angles, and both of its guns are a lot better. So I would kind of stay with that. Make sure you have triple Riptide, because it's back. Lyrit, $10 super chat. The Fulgrim buff, quotes, is so disappointing. It's like a slap in the face. They know what he needs, and this rule proves it, but they didn't help him. Hopefully he gets the help he needs before 11th. They've been looking at him every single time. They know he needs help. They just haven't found the right thing.
It's his base. Genuinely, we are now at the point where if he was on a 100mm base, I'd put him on the table.
John, what if you could just go through terrain, but if you went through terrain directly, you were like -2 move or -3 move or something?
Honestly,
just something like that.
You could make one of his pick 3 abilities go through terrain.
Yeah.
So I don't get my stealth or whatever I get.
You're putting too many good ideas out here. What if he ignores terrain that's 2 inches or less? In addition to 4 inches or less.
So mad, dude. I'm so upset about that.
Matt O, $5 super chat. Should we still cram as much anti-tank as possible when list building? I
don't think so.
I would say no. I think you want to have still a decent amount, a good amount, but you don't need to go over the top. You don't need, your standard doesn't need to be, I have to kill 2 big knights in a turn. I don't think you have to do that anymore.
I agree.
It's nice to do it, but I don't think it's mandatory.
And I think that both Admech and Orks, and also Sisters, are potentially armies that are rising up where you're going to regret it if you only took it.
Yes.
So just keep an eye on that.
Nolan Baker here, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Do you think these changes open up more Admech playstyles, or they just greatly improve our current style? I do believe that 100% they improve all of the good detachments. So Skadari Hunter cohort gains a lot from the +1 OC aura from Call, and also just generally having consistent range damage output in the Iron Striders, along with your Scorpius tanks. Then you have Halo Screed, which gains a lot from the full rerolls, because there's a lot of units in there that can get lethal, sustained, or both of them, and then full rerolls on top of that from Call dramatically enhances that damage output. And then you have something like the Rad Zone takes sometimes similar units, and overall, both Halo Screed and Rad Zone, or some of the other detachments, can get that stealth aura if they really want to put some durable bodies out there they're annoying to deal with. They can get the +1 OC if they need that. There's just the flexibility of Call means that every detachment is elevated, and also the data sheets. Rostalkers love Halo Screed. You can take them in Hunter cohort as well. Infiltrators gain a lot here. Same thing, Iron Striders just plug and play into any detachment. It's not really Hunter cohort gets better. The others are still not great. Their 3 best playstyles are all still good.
Yep.
And better.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what you do with them.
Ronnie Kinney, thanks so much for your $5 super chat. When are we getting some Prospect Votann? 18 shots at 612 sus, 2 full reel to hit Thunderkin seems spicy, kind of spicy with 36-inch range. Also the human robot smoke strat. So I have created a list for it. I haven't fully painted the models. I need to play it because it's very different than most of the other detachments. Yeah. But when I do, I will put this one on for you because I do think it has very good rules.
Very cool.
Redrum, €5 super chat. Crucible this weekend. Curious what you were all bringing. Pretty sure John's army is something that can fall back, shoot, and charge. Thanks so much for your super chat. Crucible is the biggest tournament happening in Orlando. I believe almost 150 people are signed up for the GT, which is the largest it's ever been. It's almost capped out. So if you're a last minute thinking about coming, John and I will be there. Nick will be there. Michael will be there. I think Jack is the only one who won't be. He has a family thing, but overall, he would normally be here, and this is our tournament for Florida. So if you want to come hang out with us, say hello. We are going to be there having a great time playing some 40k. And then...
Do you know what you're going to bring?
I am undecided because it really depends on what I'm also taking to Challengers Cup. And we are deciding.
Yeah,
we are still deciding what's exactly, but definitely Admech, Votann are up there. I got Necrons in my wheelhouse. Grey Knights if I want to get the Warpaint on the table.
We'll still do it tomorrow. So.
I have a lot of options and not a lot of time.
That's fair.
So I'm still considering.
I'm going to take some Space Marines that can fall back, shoot, and charge.
He's taking Space Wolves.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. It'll be EC or New Raven Guard. It kind of depends on what I can get painted by the end of tomorrow.
Thomas Boudet, thanks so much for joining at the War Room Gold. Really appreciate your support. Thanks so much for joining our community and hope you enjoy it. Will I Really Am, a £2 super chat. Why hasn't the app updated? I believe they said in their article that it would update sometime this week, probably Wednesday, maybe Thursday.
Usually do app updates on Wednesdays, so I'm going to check tomorrow is what I'm thinking I'm going to check.
I think it was Android that had pre-released theirs, and then iOS still needed one, so they probably had to line those up.
Yeah, I'm guessing that they didn't have it ready in time because, as they mentioned in the article, it's a little bit of an early drop. Yeah. Another super chat, though, from Will I Really Am.
Will we ever see Siegler play Groupocalypse? 100%. I've already played it. It has a 100% win rate in the War Room.
Oh, so far.
And I am in the process of painting and building some more Rampagers so I can get the full Kroot Gorilla Jail on the table. It'll be played against Nick 100%. Just putting that out there. I'm too random. Thanks so much for being a member for 9 months at the Gold tier. How cheap would Terminators need to be usable? I assume this is basic Space Marine Terminators.
Yeah, so I think the base Space Marine Terminator is 170. The reality is that you really can't make them much cheaper than that. I think you can go 160 and it's okay. I think any cheaper than that, it's like a little stupid. The big problem is that I think a lot of these early edition elite models have like good stats, rule that doesn't matter because it's hard to identify the point. There was a point where units stopped getting rules that don't matter and started getting rules that do matter.
Yep.
And if you've got the rules that don't matter, you are either cheap enough to spam or you are not. Because there isn't a character that you can put in Bolter Terminators that makes them better.
No, not even close.
Like, yeah, you can put Lysander there or you can put him in Assault Terminators, who are also not good but are better. And so I think more than anything they're waiting on the rule, but I think you could go 160. And 160 gets them taken in some lists, even though they're still not amazing. Cheaper than that, though, and it's like, oh, I'll just take 3x5. It's like, all right, well, I don't want Terminators to be spammed. That's not really the goal here.
Yeah, they should be an elite, rapid threat
that you notice when it lands in front of you. You should be like, oh, Terminators are here. Okay,
and they're so iconic.
Yeah, if ever there's an addition for Terminators to be good, I really thought it was this one, and they missed.
Some Terminators have been good and have gotten nerfed. Like
that's your Deathwing Knights, Space Wolf Terminators,
Death Shrouds,
yeah, just but like the iconic
Wolfguard Terminators.
Everything besides the iconic Terminator.
Yes, the basic Terminator.
It's just blech.
Grey Knight Terminators have been good. Yep. So Lucy Linky, thanks so much for being a member for 15 months at the War Room Gold. Really appreciate your long-term support of us. Balgons, Celestine, 3 Castigators, 3 Immolators, plus 30 girls, and 3x5 Retributors fit in 2,000 points. Just saying.
That sounds
strong. Nick has been doing some nasty things with Sisters in the Worm games, and I expect that to continue. And we're working on getting some more models painted up as well, so they'll be coming back on stream very soon. Redrum, £2 super chat. New detachment soon, like with every slate. As far as I'm aware, I think the Marine ones are kind of filling the gap, but we are not sure on that. So it is possible, but I think the new Space Marine ones have kind of fit that role.
I'm pretty confident that when they dropped the balanced data slate on Friday, they dropped the balanced data slate on Friday, and that was all-inclusive. Because if they had just put out like the balanced data slate and nothing else, I might be more inclined to think there's more coming, but the reality is they put all of the game FAQs in, they put all the things in.
Yeah,
they put an MFM update. And like that Uniform Field Manual update didn't have 3 extra detachments in it. I don't think that they were planning to release new detachments with this. I think Shadow Mark Talon and Shield of the Emperor. I think that is the detachment update that we normally get. I think we're getting it with Space Marines.
Yep. Doesn't mean they're not working on more, but for now, I think we got what we got.
We'll see.
Will I Really Am, a £5 super chat. When choosing Tau detachments, what makes your choice? Is it better to have a rule at the start of the game or at the end of the game or all game? Personally, it depends entirely on your playstyle. If you are a more defensive, cagey player, you want to slow your opponent down, use screens, move block them, you want to go Kalyan. If you want to get aggressive and really try and get an edge in the early game and force your opponent to have to interact with you, you want to play Monka. And then if you want a rule that's all game, you're going to look at either the Kroot detachment, and if you don't like Kroot, then you're probably looking at Retaliation Cadre, because it still does have some good strats. But you have a lot of flexibility in detachment. I really wish they just made both Kalyan and Monka, especially since they nerfed Kalyan, all game. It's all 5 turns, you just get the roll. It's all
I think
good.
you could even just do 4 turns for each.
Yeah, even 4 turns. That would be huge.
I think you could slow creep it. I like the idea of late game versus early game, but I think just 4 turns is still fine.
Yeah. But yeah, they're all competitive in the sense that you can make a competitive Tau list with them. Which one's the best really fits more with your playstyle than necessarily what the meta is. I'm too random. Thanks so much for your 5 Canadian super chat. Does the Knight meta passing mean Black Templar stocks are down? No, because they hit hard into everything.
Yeah, hitting hard is a kind of a universal equalizer there. They are also presumably good at killing Orks and AdMech models. We'll double check that in some future Warhammer games, I'm sure.
100%. I'm just going to scan through here. If you want to do the closing out talk for me, John, just make sure we didn't miss any of the super chats. Sometimes they don't appear in the overall one, and I just want to make sure none got ignored.
So, thank you so much, everyone who has joined us today. Hopefully you enjoyed this live stream and our discussion on the winners and losers of the Balanced Data Slate. If you liked this content, please like the content. Share with your friends. Leave a comment. Let us know if you disagree with any of our takes. As a matter of fact, maybe switch over so people can get one final look at it.
Yep.
And let us know what you think in the comment section. We always do read those, and we do respond to as well. And of course, if you want to see even more content, there's 2 things you should do. 1, subscribe to the channel. That'll get you notified whenever we go live. Because you know what? You may not have otherwise noticed that we went live on a Tuesday. Normally, we go live on Thursdays. We'll probably go back to that at some point in the future. But this way, you'll get notified whenever we go live so that you don't miss something. As well, tomorrow, we have a YouTube game coming up that's going to be featuring 2 armies that we believe were both improved. We've got Orks and Salamanders going head-to-head, and they're using all the new rules for the new Balanced Data Slate, which we're super excited about. So you'll check that out tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time here on our YouTube channel. But of course, there is always more 40k content, and I know that 40k players can never get enough. How do I know this? Because I'm a 40k player. And so if you want to see even more amazing content, check out The Worm. That's the link in the description below, theworm.vhx.tv. You can even get a free 3-day trial. Tell your friends about the free 3-day trial. Genuinely, so many times I'm in faction discords and people are like, yeah, where do I find Emperor's Children content? Art of War. Oh, it's behind a paywall. Try the trial. Try the trial. We think you'll like it so much that we're giving it away for free. But that's where you can find some upcoming State of the Factions. We're going to have 2 more games this week in the War Room only that are going to have new rules for the Balanced Data Slate. There's a lot to talk about in there. And so we think it's worth it. And it'll even get you into the Art of War Discord.
Absolutely. So best time to join our community. The 40K is as hype as ever. A lot of amazing changes here, and we're really excited to keep diving into them and kind of really refine what the meta is going to kind of pan out to be. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we will see you all very soon for more content. We'll see you tomorrow for the game Orcs vs. Space Marines. So long for now.
Bye-bye.